Should we have started saying that this is not medical advice on any of this?
Too late. That's actually a great point. Yes, you should say that. Nothing that I'm saying is like trumps your doctor's advice. All it is this is just purely my opinion.
Except the coffee. Coffee's good.
So this is not medical advice. This is for educational purposes only.
You can't say that on the internet, bro.
I mean, it was part of the protocol. It's not like I was doing it on my own. It was a protocol that I was giving.
If I say power of attorney, what do you guys think of in your professions?
I say have to have it. From my experience working with patients with end-stage renal disease, I'm working with these people and I'm going to be one of the last people they talk to. And I really hope that they've settled stuff out with their families before my team has to make the decisions on what to do.
No, because in the movie, they always come back.
And yeah, I mean, like people think like that. And
as long as there's enough love.
Right?
That's right. I got to pray harder.
And I hate that. I can't stand that. Because
the brain is dead. It's not coming back.
You see it enough times where I've had these conversations with people so many times. Well, yes, but will you ever get that smell off of you? I don't think you can ever not smell yourself. Smell that just.
I'm not advocating diving into sewage.
But if you dropped your cell phone in a porta potty, you'd be hard pressed to not go and get it.
I mean,
Hello, family and friends. Welcome to another Talks with Remedy. This is available to the billions around the world on YouTube in 4K and audio streaming services like Pandora, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. And now onto the podcast. Vig is a GI doctor. Renee is a LCSW. And I think we should start out just kind of where you guys think maybe we'll take from both of your perspectives where you think your careers may cross paths, meaning, and any thoughts on like when you're dealing with patients before surgery, whatever emotional stress that they bring to you. I don't know if you deal with the patient even before or after, or how much you deal with them, and then kind of the psychological thing where you think whether going through surgery and you do have questions for Vig with his GI stuff, because that's has to do with a little bit with your studies.
Mm-hmm.
So GI is gastrointestinal, not general enlisted. I don't know. I thought enlisted started with an E.
I don't know why they call us GI. Well, I guess GI sounds better than GE because the field is called gastroenterology, and yet we call GI gastrointestinal. I don't know why they make that.
Okay.
But it is what it is.
So you specialize in all the guts and stomach and belly stuff.
Yeah, pretty much anything that secretes into your GI tract is something I deal with, except for generally the salivary.
And you did a lot of research papers on livers?
Yeah.
What was your biggest hit? What was the
biggest article that I wrote, the one that got the most citations, was on alcoholic hepatitis, the development of a specific type of bacterial infection in the gut that seems to be a little bit more prevalent in the presence of alcoholic hepatitis.
So if you're a mad alcoholic, you drink to the point of destroying your liver? Mm-hmm. With hepatitis is something else that you get? So
alcoholic hepatitis, when you say destroying your liver, that's what it is. Hepatitis literally means just liver inflammation. So alcoholic hepatitis is when you've drunk yourself and induced the liver to have injury.
Okay. Got it. And then, so when you do that, a certain kind of bacteria can grow more.
Yes, there's a bacteria called C. diff, which is fairly prevalent across the U.S. in the hospitals.
The smelly one.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, you can generally, a lot of nurses can tell the difference in smell of C. diff and
I remember your podcast.
Yeah.
I remember all 107 episodes.
So yeah, that one I think had the most citations, and yeah.
And Renee, you're a licensed clinical social worker. You're doing therapy on veterans from wartime.
Yeah, they don't have to be combat veterans, but they're all veterans. But they're all struggling with some kind of addiction, whether it be alcohol, drug, gambling, any kind of thing like that. So I've seen a lot of.
So any of our military veterans that are struggling with any addiction,
mm-hmm.
Are there higher levels of addiction in Las Vegas than other cities?
I don't know that there necessarily are. We do have a lot of veterans here. Like our percentages of veterans is pretty high compared to some other cities of the same size of us. So we do have a higher veteran population for sure.
Which is interesting because the VA here is, I don't know if it has the same level of services as like places in some of the other places. From GI perspective, the VA will send GI patients to other hospitals on the weekends, which I mean, they have a fellowship. There is a GI fellowship that at UNLV that goes to the VA.
He doesn't work on weekends.
That doesn't work on weekends, and that doesn't make any sense to me.
Have you been to the big hospital up on Pecos?
No.
There's a big VA hospital, and then I think like 2 like satellite.
Yeah, there's 4 satellite or 5 technically satellite clinics, one in each corner of the city, and the big hospital up north, and then there's like a central clinic.
Okay, so a veteran's got to get addicted to something and get in really bad shape before he can come see you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have to, kind of like if you're looking at like medication trials. You know, if you're trying to treat something, you have to fail lower levels of care. Like I've tried to manage pain on my own and it didn't work, so I need this medication. Well, that one didn't work, so I need to do this one. So it's similar with what I'm doing since we're residential care. You know, that's a pretty high level of care. They're living with us.
Yeah.
So, you know, they have to have tried, you know, have you tried quitting on your own? Have you tried doing like an outpatient kind of groups thing? None of those have worked. So now you're coming inpatient. Yeah. I read the pamphlet. I was at the casino and had the when the fun stops thing. I read that and I'm still gambling. What do I do?
Well, then it seems like the obvious overlap here is alcoholics.
One of them, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very common overlap. So you need to get into liver transplant. If ever someone needs a liver transplant, there are like 4 or 5 different people that need to be involved. And one is a medical GI doctor, one is a surgeon, one is a finance specialist, one is a social worker.
Because livers are expensive?
Yes, and they need to make sure that the person has the insurance to pay for it. But so the people, so each, other than the financial specialist, who I guess as long as their finances make sense, they don't really have much of a say. All the other 3 have about equal say in terms of if someone is going to get a transplant.
What if you can't afford a liver? Do you just die?
Then they try to work with you until you can. Usually, I mean, by the time they
make more money.
Well, either that or
what can you sell that you don't need?
We'll
How those kidneys looking?
Oh, can you trade organs?
No. Usually, if you have liver disease, then your kidneys are probably not doing so hot most of the time. Yeah. And
what if you got like a good eyeball or something?
Yeah, no.
That's probably not doing too hot either, to be honest. How many toes you got there?
I thought I had a solution to a major problem, but
you tried.
Yeah.
No, more than that, it's more like they're going to work with them to try to get them the insurance coverage they need to be able to get them to transplant. And so yeah, I mean, I've done the liver transplant side, so that's why I know a little bit about this. And the medical side is really just, I mean, are they medically ready to get transplant? Do they have any heart disease, any lung disease, any cancer history, and how bad is their liver, and what's their sort of expected prognosis? But how long can we wait? Or how quickly do they need the liver, and those sort of things. The surgeon evaluates, I mean, what does the person look like? Is he extremely obese? Is he a small guy? And what's funny about that is the most common cause of liver disease right now is something called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
Non-alcoholic fatty. Okay.
So it's people that are basically just extremely fat and develop liver disease because of it. Either fat, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all of those kind of come together and they develop fatty livers that can eventually develop inflammation and so on. So fatty liver affects a lot of people, but only about 3% or 5% of those people develop what we call NASH, which is the inflammation. Alcoholic liver disease is the second most common right now, but it is significantly more likely that a surgeon will transplant an alcoholic than a NASH patient, simply because the alcoholic is generally skinnier and younger and much more likely to do better post-transplant, as long as they do the alcohol, as long as the alcohol assessment is accurate. They tend to do much better and have much lower risk of heart disease and other things post-transplant that can develop.
So if you're really obese, then you've got a whole mess of problems for your body beyond.
Yeah, I mean, it's not to say you can't get transplanted, but those people, I mean, I will say that at least the surgeon I worked with is he would do it, but he would just be like, I mean, this is going to be a tough surgery. This is going to be maybe complex. It's going to lead to a lot of complications down the line.
Because you have other health issues.
Not just other health issues, just the actual cutting itself is going to be more difficult.
Got to get in there.
Yeah.
Oh, so be skinny if you want free organs.
Definitely easier. It is definitely easier. So if you're going to get disease, alcohol is the way to go.
You're going to fry your liver. Drink that out.
Yes.
Oh,
exactly.
sorry, we're not 10 minutes. I'm sorry.
It wasn't me, and that's all I care about.
Renee swore before I said anything racist.
I just lost my free appetizer.
Oh, nice. But yeah, so the social worker is very important in that, and they're the ones that dig into someone's history and find out, like, you know, what is their pattern of drinking and how severe is their pattern of drinking, and is it something that's have they just learned about their liver disease just today or yesterday when they first came to the hospital, or is it something that they've been told about consistently over the last, like, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, however long. And if it's been something like that, then they usually refer them out to other behavioral specialists to sort of say, look, we need you to really go through some sort of therapy before you can, before we can actually consider you for transplant. And they also assess their social network, because you can't get a transplant without someone able, at least either a group or at least one person that can watch over you for 24/7 for at least the first month. Because they need to make sure you're taking all your, like, 20 different pills. They need to make sure that you go to your appointments, which is usually like twice to 3 times a week. They need to make sure you get to your labs. They need to make sure that, you know, you don't look confused, and you're, like, they don't need to take you to the hospital right away, and all of that thing. So it's a huge.
Wait, so if you don't have family and friends, it's pointless to give you a new liver because you're just going to die afterwards. Mm-hmm. After we kick you out of the hospital, you're just going to
absolutely
make it.
Okay.
It's a huge surgery.
It's a huge surgery. Yeah.
I used to work with end-stage renal patients, and like that was the number one inhibiting factor when they were looking at could I get a transplant, was if they had social support or not. From what I was doing. Yeah. And some of them were just like, you know what, never mind, I'll just do dialysis for the rest of my life because, like, I'm not calling my mom, or, you know, my brother's dead to me, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But
renal is down by the butt?
Renal is your kidneys.
Okay.
So these were patients that were, like, on dialysis or, like, coming onto dialysis or needed a kidney transplant.
And what does end stage mean?
End stage is like it's irreversible.
No return.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Kidney's not working. You're not peeing. You need something else to do the work of your kidneys for you.
Yep. So they get plugged into a machine a few times a week for several hours, and that's just kind of your life.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it causes a lot of problems. They tend to be very anemic. They tend to need blood transfusions frequently. They, if you miss a day of dialysis or two, then you become confused and you become hospitalized, and you develop a lot of fluid in your body, and it's no fun.
Yeah, it can really mess you up. And then we did have, like, a couple of guys that were still, like, you know, just really not taking care of himself. Yes. One of them was still an alcoholic, and he would, like, come in and just, like, detox. And he's like, I'm here for my Friday detox. We're like, bro, that's not the way you're supposed to be doing. And he's like, it's worked for 6 years. We're like, okay, cool.
Wonders of the human body. Because,
I know, right?
Because really, you have so many alcoholics, only about 30% of them will develop severe liver disease. Most of them will not. Mm-hmm.
What counts as alcoholic medically? Is that 5 drinks a day, or what's the?
So she can answer that better than I can.
Yeah.
So it's really more. I mean, there's.
Before you answer, YouTube audience, click like, subscribe, leave a comment, and check out our Patreon. All right,
hit thumbs up if you're an alcoholic.
If you want to know what criteria it is.
All right.
So there's different levels. You know, there's abuse, there's dependence.
I'd call myself a binge drinker.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. One of the hallmarks of, like, if it's actually into dependence or not is the withdrawal symptoms. So, like, coffee. Let's say you're a person that drinks coffee every day.
Yeah,
you don't have your coffee tomorrow. Do you know you're going to have, like, a headache and be really irritable and have those withdrawal symptoms? If so, you are addicted.
Addict.
Yeah.
But does it count if, for me, it's like if I drink a Dr. Pepper at 9 a.m. one day, the very next day about 8:30 a.m. if I haven't started drinking a Dr. Pepper, I'll get a headache right away.
That is called dependence.
But I'll go like 8 months, 16 months or whatever without a single Dr. Pepper, and then that one day I'll take 16 months.
Yeah.
And then one day I drink a Dr. Pepper at 9 a.m. and then 8:30 a.m. the next day.
Yeah, that's dependence. Caffeine's the #1 abuse drug in America.
No, what if you just drank Dr. Pepper all the time? Then it wouldn't be a problem, right?
It'd be totally fine. Totally fine. This doesn't impact me at all. I'm fine.
Because they have a Dr. Pepper Zero now, right?
Yeah.
What's the point then?
No, it tastes
That's what
like
I
Dr.
say
Pepper.
about
Like at the car shows, they're hanging out like the caffeine-free bangs. I'm like, why? This is just like some crappy tasting water. Like
You can get a
ew.
caffeine-free Bang.
Exactly. Like why?
Bang is a energy drink for the young kids. It's
It
like
has
a Red Bull.
No clue what it was.
It's got like 300 mil. It's nuts.
300 milligrams
delicious.
of like what, vitamin B12 or
Caffeine.
something? Oh, caffeine.
It's got a lot of caffeine. But they're delicious. It's so productive when I have one.
No, I've never been much of a caffeine freak.
No, the zero is no calories, not no caffeine.
Yeah, no one's addicted to
the Dr.
calories,
Pep,
man.
Yeah.
The flavor.
well, so he's saying that maybe you can just do the Dr. Pepper Zero because that's got the caffeine, but it doesn't have the calories.
Yeah.
But then I'll still be addicted according to Renee.
You know, there was so actually one of the articles I wrote was about coffee and liver disease, and coffee reduces the risk of liver cancer.
Yes.
The caffeinated coffee more so than the uncaffeinated, and it's stuff we don't really know why. We think it's just some other chemicals in there, but and it's coffee, not tea. Tea is not as known. It's the coffee.
Suck it, Britain.
And the
We
first
win
racist
again.
thing comes out.
We win. Oh, that's national pride.
Do you think that has something to do with like different levels of antioxidants?
That's what we're thinking. That's what they think. But I mean, there is some benefit to the non-caffeinated coffee as well, but it's not as much as the caffeinated coffee. So it's and they even tried it with just caffeine pills, and there's not really that same benefit. So it seems to be something about the coffee, and there's different preparations of coffee, right? And they found different preparations have a variable effect. So right now, because of that, we don't necessarily discriminate between one coffee or another. We just say, hey, drink. You can say 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day is totally fine. But we say black coffee, no milk, no sugar.
Oh,
That's the best part.
I mean, I would never drink coffee without milk and sugar. I can't. But all my friends just drink straight black venti coffee, and I don't even understand how that's even
Well,
possible.
it comes
like
from a bean,
dirt.
right?
Yeah, comes from a bean. Yeah.
So it's like I'm gonna say it's like a serving of vegetable. You roast it, grind it up. You're distilling a vegetable.
Sure.
Yeah, it's on a plant, right? It's
I'm
on
assuming.
a bush. The
But you also
coffee
got-
beans come
you-
off.
I
the
mean,
bush.
so is heroin. Just having my vegetables intravenously. It's a plant.
You may be correct there.
No, I like this. I say we roll with it.
There's
I
no
got my-
evidence that heroin doesn't also improve your anti-cancer.
There's no study that says it doesn't.
Not that I
Is
know
there?
of.
I bet you people who die of heroin never die of cancer.
True. I'm pretty positive that's true. They also die quite a bit younger than people with cancer. So
It's a shortcut, right?
Yeah.
Skip past the cancer.
Yes.
Fast lane.
Yeah.
maybe you die happy. Maybe that's what it is.
Based on the movies I've seen.
Shit, I don't know.
I've never heard a good heroin story ever.
Is it happy in the sense that, like your mind is elsewhere? You're not really paying attention to the real world.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if that's how you go out.
I mean, I could see being really old and wanting to go out in a happy way.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's,
Our society doesn't support the checkout, the life
No.
checkout activity.
we kind of don't, but there's some good hospice companies out there that are pretty helpful.
They're down with sneaking you some drugs.
Yeah, I mean, they're just like,
Oh.
oops, more morphine, my bad.
I did not
Good
know
night.
this.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Sometimes you can do that. I've done. I've definitely. I've
killed some people.
I have prescribed people sort of lethal doses before.
You can't say that on the internet, bro.
It was part of the protocol. It not like I was doing it on my own. It was
okay.
a protocol that
You're
I
just
was
like,
giving
meh.
someone a morphine drip.
Okay.
It was a morphine drip as well as an
flag it anyway.
Ativan.
Morphine and Ativan. That sounds like a fun night.
Yeah, I mean, the dude had like terminal cancer, and he was already going downhill, and he was probably, if we didn't give him something, he was going to die anyway.
He's going to die tomorrow in
probably
pain.
in like 2-3 days. Okay. So we were like, all right, we'll just ease his pain, and we won't do anything else. We'll just ease his pain, and as he expires, we'll call it. This was in the ICU in a controlled setting. I did not do this.
It's just not you in the dark.
Me in the dark. Me in his house. Just like, all right, let me put this IV line in you.
Just knocking on your neighbor's door, like, hey, so your husband's been real irritable lately. Let's talk about this drip.
Oh, hi, Fred. Dr. Death. All right.
But in some European countries, they actually do euthanasia, and they're
Liem's face is a mix of like disgust and confusion. Like, I don't know what's happening, and I don't like it.
There's states out here. I mean, Oregon has a what do they call it? Like a death with dignity kind of law thing, but you have to be deemed competent in order to sign the documents.
Colorado, I think.
Yeah.
How do you guys know this?
But some people decline so quickly that they don't have the ability to like sign the documents. But even with that, like there's a lot of good like hospice companies that are gonna be helpful with that.
Yeah.
The internet, you learn everything on the internet. I think there was a woman that moved to Colorado to get that paperwork done. Her kid died from, I forget the exact story, but her kid died from cancer or cancer. Her husband died in a car accident. She was diagnosed with, I think, a terminal cancer, and she was like, fuck it, like, what do I have to fucking live for?
Yeah, well, and if you're just going to be in like pain, like, why drag that out? Like, if this is inevitable, get your affairs in order, do your stuff, and then just go peacefully.
Yeah.
Hey, I should have told you, Liem, but you're backup for the medical power of attorney for Emmett. If I'm in a coma and Mariel's not available, then you get to pull my plug.
Did you put in paperwork?
Yeah, we went to the lawyer and we were doing something.
That's a good segue. I was going to ask him what their views on power of attorney actually. So go ahead and tell your story then.
This was a brewing question in your head. Mm-hmm. That was it. I forgot to tell you. So
I was just waiting for the next pause. I was going to say, if I say power of attorney, what do you guys think of in your professions?
I say have to have it. It's for me, just from my experience working with patients with end-stage renal disease. Like, I'm working with these people, and I'm going to be one of the last people they talk to, and I really hope that they've settled stuff out with their families before, like, my team has to make the decisions on what to do. And a lot of the disputes with families are they're trying to figure out what this person wanted. Like, he would have wanted this, he would have wanted that. Well, if you have that on a piece of paper, when you are coherent enough to say this is what I want, then it takes that burden off of the family, and that's one less thing that they got to worry about. I was thinking my definition of power attorney is if Emmett goes in a coma and then he has me listed, and Marielle is
she's
not
fucking
around.
Off in Europe or something.
Yeah.
So then he's in a coma and the doctor says, hey, I don't know, there's some weird choice, or like, we gotta pull the plug.
Do we cut off his legs or his ears?
So that document so the ones that I fill out with my patients, it has a whole list of end-of-life care options that they can say, yes, I do want this, no, I don't want this, or I want you to make that decision for me. And so they can actually put on there, yes, I want a feeding tube. Yes, I want a breathing machine. Yes, I want to be put on dialysis, or no, I don't want that. And then when I do this paperwork with them and I sit down with the family and say, hey, like, this is what they're talking about, we actually have that conversation. Or if they put on all of these options, I'm not sure, I want you to make that decision with me. Then, we also kind of have that conversation of like, well, what are the circumstances that you think you would want this or you won't want that, so that family member is aware. And then that person actually has a copy of those documents, as does the hospital, so that we can look at those. But yeah, if Emmett goes into a coma and he's filled that out and I'm his provider and something happens, I have that document. I'm like, okay, we're calling this guy. This is the document that I have. You're in charge of what he wants. This is what he said he wants. What do you want to do? And then we kind of like make that decision together.
Interesting. So that
cut this motherfucker. Cut it off.
Chop off his legs. But there's no problem. Chop off his legs.
Donate his organs while you're at it.
Those eyeballs look good.
That document, is that kind of uniform? Is there 20 questions per se?
Different states have different versions.
Okay.
The one that I work with is a federal version. But yeah, like everybody's kind of got their own. But in general, so like mine is only supposed to be used in our hospitals. But if you bring, like, if you have an issue at UMC and you bring the one from my hospital, like that's information that your doctors want, you know, and I'm pretty sure that they would rather have some kind of information in
100%.
a document than just being like, well,
Oh, you can't be just using a
he's-
Kentucky form.
He kind of looks and smells like intubation kind of guy. So
No, the power of attorney thing is I just wish more people paid attention to it. I mean, even now I have a problem. I have a guy who the primary team wants us to put in a feeding tube in him, but he has absolutely no family, and he had a huge stroke, and he can't make decisions for himself, and we have nobody to call, nobody to talk to. We don't even know who his family is. So if there's like a forum, I was like, hey, this is my friend or my old roommate or my cousin or whatever that I can call. I'm like, great, makes my life so much easier to do that.
yeah.
I thought it was like an extremely rare. I mean, I'm sure you guys are going to see it because if you're on the tail end of somebody's care, then you're going to see people hitting, you know, the end of that path. But is it for the average person? Is this like a 1 out of 1,000?
Yeah, no,
possibility?
it's unlikely for most people, but you know, I mean, car accidents are unlikely, but they happen.
They happen.
And
Yeah.
when you're incapacitated that way, it happens, right? You need somebody to make decisions, and default decisions. If you have a good family, default decisions are like, you know, you can have your parents make decisions for you. I mean, if you're married, you'll have your wife make decisions for you, or your kids.
Yeah.
But not everybody that comes in has those clear. They might be estranged from their kids, might be estranged from their parents, and so you don't have that easy way to say, hey, I can call this person, right? I mean, and then they're in a coma, so you can't even ask them, who should I call?
Yeah.
So,
There's pretty much no situation where you think someone should not have a power of attorney set up prior.
never. No, you should
Yeah.
always have.
Yeah. And they can always change it too.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to go with whatever the most revised version is. But yeah, like this is something that, you know, I pushed on my family. Like I have one for myself. I've, you know, spoken with my family members about it. A couple of them are like, yeah, you know, this is a good idea. And like one of my parents, I'm their power of attorney, even though I'm the younger child, because they know that I'll be more objective because I'm like emotionally dead inside. Because they're
The same way.
right? Because they're like, I know that you'll make a decision based on, you know, this, I don't want to live out my life like this. And your brother's just going to not be able to make that decision. Yeah. And it's something, I mean, even with my patients coming into my rehab program, it's something that I put in front of them and I'm like, hey, you know, this is something that is a reality for everybody. And if something happens, what do you want us to do?
Yeah.
And that's just usually how I frame it,
Yeah.
you know?
Vig, do you have yours?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
You cut off a finger,
What?
kill me now.
I'm going to walk around with 9 digits.
Done. I can't walk. Just let me go.
let me
Take me
go.
off the tube.
That got me good. What age did you guys set up your power of attorney?
Once I started residency, so 28.
That was probably mid 30s.
When it came to mind to me was when, so I had my car accident and then I was under a lot of painkillers, and then it wasn't till after healing from it, nearly 6 to 8 months out, I forget when the timeline was, where I started remembering some of the decisions I made while I was under all those painkillers
In the stupor.
and I was also working too, so I was like, man, I was dealing with clients, telling them how we were going to do the software. I'm like, I was remembering some of those decisions kind of felt not great. So then afterwards, I was like, man, I wish I would have had like Emmett as a power of attorney. I think some of the things could have changed too. Meaning, when I got in that car accident, maybe he would have thought, hey, let's research what we should do with your foot before certain things happen, like how long should the healing process be? When should you be weight bearing and blah blah blah. Like when you're under all those drugs, I didn't know to
See, I thought you were fine. I had no way to know.
Yeah. I don't think anybody I'm guessing nobody on the outside could tell. So that might be I don't know.
Well, once you're given that power, you do, it becomes responsibility, right? So you might take it more seriously. And as you're saying, you might actually do the research and say, hey, I mean, on average, this particular type of injury, this takes this long, or something. It's not that everybody does that, but maybe you would take it a little bit more, take it upon yourself to do a little bit more research on that.
Do you guys happen to know if there's a moment when the power of attorney should be used earlier? Meaning, so in that case, so even if I had a power of attorney set up with Emmett, he on the outside didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how would somebody going that through the first time?
The minute you go in the hospital, I'm taking over.
Is that, would you guys suggest
It's when
that?
you're not able to make the decision yourself.
But I was on the outside, I looked coherent.
Yeah. Or you could request.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I had somebody in my care and they said, I don't feel like I'm capable of making this decision right now, I want to call my so-and-so, then I would respect that.
Yeah.
So the issue is you were doped up on opioids, right?
Yes.
Is that
I felt that I was capable of it, but it wasn't until 8 months when I'm remembering some of the things. I'm like, dude, that was some of those decisions I wouldn't have made under the right mind.
Yeah.
So is there, I don't know, I'm just asking for maybe for our audience or anything you guys have been through.
As we said, it's when you decide, like if you were thinking like, I don't know if this, and you decide to talk it over and be like, hey, can you help me make some of these decisions?
you would have had to tag out like in wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. We can't,
But under those
make
drugs,
decisions.
I totally understand. It's tough because I think under those drugs, I didn't know to tap out. I thought I was fine.
Yeah, you felt like Hulk Hogan.
But the thing is now you do. Now you do. As you get older, if you say need some other sort of operation and you start using those meds, now you can say, hey, actually, I know that I act a little bit weird, and you can have somebody else be there for you.
Mm.
Oh, so then your second hospitalization accident will go much better.
Your second Miata build will go much better.
I haven't really. It's all, I haven't really.
That was a gut ripper right there. He's gonna need
I
reconstructive.
haven't even filled out the power of attorney yet, so I'm still stupid. The accident was 6 years ago, and I still haven't figured it.
Well, it's just unlikely to happen again. So
God, it was that long ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
That's nuts.
For the audience, Liem was building an off-road Miata.
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
And the first time he took it out,
The first time?
I think it was technically
It was
the
to the
second.
meet.
It was a second drive technically. It took me I don't know if it was like a year to get the roll cage in, to get the suspension, order the suspension install. I installed as much as I could by myself, and then the second time driving it, I was just going through a green light and someone had a yielded yellow, but they ran the yielded yellow, and it was like a head-on collision. For the power of attorney, is there anything on your what did you fill out that may be more common and uncommon? Like you said that, not that you're probably joking.
No.
Cut the finger, let me go.
Go ahead. I think you know more.
Oh, I mean, just like things that I've had experience just through personal experience or through work stuff that like working with dialysis patients. I'm like, I don't think I could do that. I don't think I'm strong enough to do that. Facing the prospect of being paraplegic, I know that I'm not a strong enough person to be able to do that. So those are things that I think about when I'm looking at are these situations, if you're going to draw me out of this and I'm going to be unable to take care of myself,
to add to it, and my ankle injury is not as bad. Also, obviously, I'm walking. I could go for short hikes and whatnot. But I've said to Emmett before, hey, we had a conversation about COVID. I said, hey, if COVID kind of hits my body and something else is wrong, just let me go. I'm fucking done. I'm the foot was bad. It's not that bad compared. I know there's people that have it way worse. There's paraplegics and whatnot, but just going through that experience of this one ankle, I don't want to go through anything.
What if you
worse.
get monkeypox?
I don't even know what monkeypox is.
It's the new one.
It's the new sexy thing everyone's freaking out about, apparently.
Yeah.
The new smallpox.
I was just disappointed with the murder hornets. I was really looking forward to that.
Good God, those things are humongous. Scared the hell out of me, and I get
was
scared by
hoping to
little
see,
bees.
like
and imagine
waves
something
of
this
them
big
coming.
coming at you, oh God.
But no, it just kind of never really happened. I was really disappointed with that.
I think I would end up drowning. I don't know. I don't know if you guys ever watched those TV shows or the cartoons when you were a kid, where someone or Bugs Bunny or somebody would be chased by bees, and then they go jump in the water, and then they stay in the water for a set amount of time, and the bees will hopefully run away.
Yeah.
And then you get to get out of the water. I would probably actually drown myself rather than be stung by these bees. They terrify me.
Completely forgetting that they like water.
If they do, then I'm screwed.
Because I always see them around my pool.
Oh God, then I'm screwed. I'll be forever dead.
How was he killed? Well, kind of by murder
Wait,
hornets.
so would you say it's an irrational fear of bees?
Yeah. So the reason I remember is when I was in third grade. It was third grade. I had been moving around a lot. We were in California for part of third grade, and then for the beginning, and then we moved to Tallahassee. And I had a buddy of mine in Tallahassee in third grade who, me and him were really good friends. He got stung by like 10 bees at once. I don't know if he just ran into a bee's nest or whatever. I wasn't there.
He did something wrong.
Yeah.
I don't want to victim blame here, but he was doing something wrong.
He stepped on the bees and just laughed about it. I don't know. But afterwards, he was not the same person in my head. Me and him did not get along anymore, even though like literally I was over at his house like the week before.
You're saying mentally he changed?
To me, he mentally changed. And I was in third grade. What? How old were you in third grade? I was like 6 or no, like 8. I don't even know.
I don't know. I'm going to go with 9.
Yeah, 8 or 9. And so all I remember was I was just like, yeah, he's not the same person anymore. And now I'm scared. Now I'm terrified of bees because it was after the bee stings. Now maybe something completely separate, like family divorce or something, who knows? But I just had the bees. I didn't know anything else.
Yeah.
Did you watch My Girl? And you're just like, oh, these things are dangerous. You might die.
Was that a critical part of the plot in that movie?
She was allergic to bees.
Yeah, the kid died.
I haven't seen it. Yeah.
Oh, well, spoiler alert. Macaulay Culkin dies.
Oh,
He's
okay.
allergic to bees.
Yeah.
On power of attorney, is there? Sorry, coming back. So, is it ultimately, are there key things like if I'm in a coma, let me go? Is there? I haven't seen the documents though. What are some of the key things that you remember filling out for yourself, and kind of some of the reasons, like bee stings?
No.
Stung by a bee. Let me die.
So more than anything else.
Sting. No, I want to die.
More than anything else, I think the problem for me is always like length of time, like intubated, length of like evidence of anoxic brain injury, meaning like there's low oxygen, so your brain is basically gone. Some people, like especially I know in my family, my parents would not understand that like that probably means I'm not going to get much better.
Yeah.
And they would want to keep me in a nursing home, and I'll literally have some poor nurse having to clean me up every day.
No, because in the movie they always come back.
And yeah, I mean, like people think like that, and
As long as there's enough love.
right?
That's right. I got to pray harder.
And I hate that. I can't stand that. Because
Look, the brain is dead. It's not coming back.
You see it enough times where I've had these conversations with people so many times, and I'm pretty good at the palliative care conversations.
You said the palliative care? Is that what you're saying?
Palliative care conversations, like actually asking family members to be and like painting a picture for them that's like thoughtful and insightful, but not like just your family member's gonna die, dude. Just let them go. Not like that, but like in a good manner that at least lets them understand like what it is that you're putting this person through.
Yeah.
But you'll still always have a few people that refuse to listen, and you're just forced to continue onwards. I had one patient who literally burned through all the epinephrine in our hospital, and the pharmacist called me and said, "Hey, are you sure you want this bag of epinephrine? If you run out of this bag, we have to call another hospital. We have run out." Is
that a painkiller?
No, it's a medication for blood pressure support.
Okay.
And so that was when I finally talked to the family, like, "Hey, we've run out of meds to give this man, and we can't give him anymore. So,
yeah,
do you really want me to call another hospital to get more medication, or can you just?" I mean, unfortunately, there's really not much else we can do.
Let it go, yeah.
So, yeah, I would never want that for me.
But I think what's hard is our society frowns upon letting somebody go, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I think if somebody, it's hard for somebody to fathom, how do I explain that I let my son go, or I let my mom go? How do I bear the responsibility? Because then they feel like it's a choice, right? And they feel like they're choosing to kill somebody in a way. Is that part of the issue, or is that?
It is, and that's where a good palliative care physician comes into play, or social worker, somebody that's going to sit with the family, is that they will sort of explain that it's not necessarily you are making a decision. This person's body has made a decision for them, and while we can artificially keep them alive, it's not the same thing as, so there's existing and then there's living, and we are allowing them to exist, but we're not allowing them to live. And explaining the difference between those two is really the difference between a good and bad palliative care physician and palliative care team, not just physician.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I think culturally too, like Americans are uncomfortable with death.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be responsible for it, and we don't want to talk about it, and we don't want to be okay with it. And I think that's kind of like a cultural shift.
So how do we help our audience be more okay with pulling the plug on close family members?
Everybody's gonna die eventually.
We're
but
all
yeah,
gonna die.
And I think also, and this might just be like me as a WASP, but like we lack communication skills about difficult topics.
White
and like
Anglo-Saxon person?
yes, exactly.
Woman as a social provider? No.
Sure. But yeah, like I think there's a lot of discomfort about talking about these topics with people that we're close to, or, family members, especially if we just don't have that kind of like open communication. Like I can talk about it more openly with you guys than I can with like certain members of my family.
Yeah, I mean, even saying the word, like, even if I joke about death, my dad is like, don't do that. It's just bad luck. And it's like,
not funny.
Dad, it's literally my job. I do this every day. And
You wanted me to be a doctor.
yeah, no, it really happens all the time. Nobody likes to talk about it. And
Wait, but most of your patients survive, right?
yes,
Okay.
Just to be clear, are you actually Dr.
if you have metastatic cancer, I'm sorry, I can't do much for you.
Okay.
I could again, yeah, but yeah, it's
You were painting a picture of a high not success rate.
It's just it's as Renee was saying, is that people just don't like to talk about it. And I approach it very early on. Like
Yeah.
I don't like when I'm talking to a patient that
You're probably gonna die, dude.
when I talk to a patient that I think is like having a disease that has a fairly high, a fairly poor prognosis, like within the next 2, 3, 5 years, I'll usually bring it up right away. I'll be like, this is a serious illness that carries with it a poor prognosis for X and XY reasons, and you're looking at this, and this. And then the other thing that really I wish more people would understand is CPR is no joke. CPR is not fun. I can't tell you.
It's only good if you were gonna die anyway.
No, please don't. I would rather
Like
never
it's
do CPR.
unpleasant to do.
It is unpleasant to do.
Conducting it is bad.
Yeah, because doing CPR,
It's not like the shows.
no, where it's just like, oh,
It's
look,
good,
I'm
it's good.
doing
Yeah.
that. No, you have to depress someone's chest by 2 inches,
Gotta crack some ribs.
and you are absolutely going to crack some ribs.
What if they're obese? Is it different? Is it more inches?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, because it's never up here. It's all below. But
It's down by the belt.
If you're doing that, you're doing it way wrong, man. You're just making poop.
Fat son of a bitch.
Oh, they're breathing. No, that's farts.
What if I slap him more? Does that help?
If you scream, "Don't die on me now," it usually helps. God damn it.
You gotta look angry.
man. That's funny. But I've caused flail chest in someone, which is literally I've cracked almost every single rib around the sternum.
What'd you call it? Flail chest?
Yeah, it's like basically the ribs are kind of pulled this way in by the sternum.
Yeah.
And I've cracked every rib around the sternum, so their ribs open up a little bit like this.
Yeah. But you saved him.
Yes. To a world of pain, because again, imagine I have literally broken every rib in your body.
Yeah. So pain versus death.
And if someone is
Did
obviously
they thank you later, or did they just mad dog you all the time?
most of them be like, "Why did you save me? What is going on?" Have you guys watched The Incredibles? You know, in the cartoon, the movie,
That's the animated one.
Yeah, the animated movie. You know, at the very beginning, when the superheroes are banned from practicing being a superhero, Mr. Incredible says to some guy, "Hey, I saved your life." "No, you ruined my death." That's what it is. And that's it. That's what it is. Is that, like, I mean, I can't even imagine going through CPR and surviving that. And if I already knew that, I had like 6 months to a year to 2 years to live, it's like, dude, now I need painkillers for the next 6 months to 2 years anyway.
While my
that
ribs heal. Okay. Well, so that brushes very close to the resuscitation and pull the plug kind of talk then, right? Because that's a prior to. I mean, but there's protocols. So you don't really get to choose, right? There's
no, and that's why we're saying always have this discussion well beforehand, so well beforehand what you want to do for a patient.
Yeah, I think, Liem, for me, the general is what's the path? Is it looking up? Like, if we can save him, is it going to be good? Then sure, right? If it doesn't look good, then I've had a good run. I've had more luck than I deserve. So
I know his cryptocurrency private keys. Let him go.
Sorry, just has an ingrown toe. He's fucked.
that's right.
Yeah, those discussions are they're rough, but I don't know. I've gotten a lot better at them as time goes on.
Practice.
Yeah, a lot of people are, as you said, no one's comfortable with those discussions. My friend, she's a vascular surgery NP. She constantly does so many things. Like she's in people's necks, like literally blood spurting all over. She's covered in blood, and she's like, whatever. And she just changes clothes, doesn't really think about it. But you ask her to talk to a family member about how to speak about the likelihood of them surviving a certain procedure, and she gets very, very uncomfortable, like very uncomfortable. She doesn't know. She has a nervous giggle whenever that happens.
Yeah. Well, I think this podcast is good because we're broaching all these topics that are hard to talk about, and so hopefully our viewers and listeners are learning. But I'm also laughing so hard that I'm crying. So I hope this is a healthy way to kind of talk about these things.
I mean, everybody's going to die at some point. We might as well talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not going to avoid it by not looking at it. It's going to happen. You might as well have as much say as you can.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I do not want to be like 100 years old. I have no wish to be 100 years old, basically walking around with a walker, barely able to go anywhere, barely able to move.
What if you could just hang around and you get free food at the cafeteria and you can play video games and watch YouTube
And then crack
stuff?
my finger just by playing a video game.
You got 9 more.
Exactly. I'm like, no. Average life expectancy in the U.S. I think is 72. Perfectly happy if I'm like 80, 85, and then finally it's like, well, I can't do too much else. All good.
See, you're so passive ambitious. You want to beat the average anyway.
I mean, and frankly, if I don't, it doesn't matter to me in that case. But shit. Ugh.
72 is the average?
72 is the average. It was
Oh.
73 until I think right before COVID. It went down to 72. It might actually be lower now.
So my dad
because
did
of
it. My dad was 73, so he did it.
Is there specifically anything when you say 82, or is it you see the body decline a certain average at the age of 70 to 80 or something?
It actually really depends on the individual. I mean, you could be there was an Indian dude who was like 95 and ran a marathon. So it's not like it's impossible. If I'm in that good shape, then fine. I'm okay with 95.
No, that's when the local newspaper starts coming around and going, "Oh, you're the oldest guy in the county.
Exactly.
What do you eat?"
or there's a Japanese guy who did a 100-meter dash. He's like the fastest guy that's like a centurion, something like that. And fine if that's the case. But if it's like the average individual, like my grandpa is like 96 now. Fortunately, had a stroke, and he eats. That's about it. He doesn't recognize people. He's just there. And no thanks. I don't want that. So
should there be a value on life in the sense of, I'm going to kind of probably hack up this thought, but so if your uncle is in the hospital, has a coma, and then you happen to have the power of attorney, is it like thinking about their life afterwards and then maybe the medical bills they have afterwards, or I don't know, from your guys' perspective, dealing with people I don't know if I want to say at the edges of life sometimes?
Are you saying there's a cost to keeping somebody alive if they're not in good health?
I think you have to take into account a lot of factors. There's the person's own quality of life, right? There's their support system. There's their ability to medical stuff is expensive, and are they going to have a mediocre quality of life and be in crippling debt, and their whole family is going to be in crippling debt to extend their life for another 6 months? Like, that's a realistic thing that I think families need to talk about too when they're making those decisions.
Have you guys dealt with families where they're having to execute power of attorney, and then the decisions they've had to let someone go and or not, and what consequences you guys seen through that?
have I talked to family members
Or
into letting people go?
Sure.
Yes. Many, many times I've done that. Well, I'm sure you've at least discussed.
Oh, well, this is actually, it's kind of like very poignant. So I actually had my uncle passed away last week.
Sorry to hear
And he had like been diagnosed with leukemia, and it was a very, very rapid decline. And a lot, you know, my mom and her sister, they were all talking about like, oh, well, we want him to do this treatment and we want him to do this and to do this. And I was kind of the only person that was like, but what does he want to do?
Yeah.
Like, if it's going to extend his life by 6 months and he's going to be in agonizing pain for the whole time, like, ask him what he honestly wants to do without your opinion of it. You know, because like, yeah, you know, you're leaving, you know, my aunt's going to be lonely, and, you know, she's got the dogs to think about and all this stuff, but also she's got his medical bills to think about. She's got, you know, like, what about his quality of life? And she's going to have to take care of him as he declines. And the only argument that I was getting from everybody else was like, but he'll be alive.
Yeah.
And he ended up, I mean, he refused all treatment. He went into hospice, and he was gone within like a couple of weeks. It was really quick. But that's
did
kind
you
of,
have any bucket list?
he went to Home Depot one last time. And
What?
that was
his
like the
bucket list?
cutest thing. Like, well, I mean, he was really frail. He was in a lot of pain. Like he really quickly declined.
Yeah. Did you just buy everything he wanted at Home Depot?
No, he just had enough energy one day and just went to Home Depot and like walked around for a few hours. And that was like the last like outing that he did. He was gone probably within a couple weeks of that.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's interesting to have that as a happy place. I mean, I like Home Depot.
The smell of Home Depot is unique.
Yeah.
And like that's a fond memory for me, like from my childhood, just like going to Home Depot like with my dad and just like
Does it
smelling
smell
lumber
like
and
sawdust?
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
lumber
it's like
section.
sawdust, and it's like, oh, it smells like
definitely
working
different.
men or something. I don't know. It's just, yeah, there's something very, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
anyways. But yeah, I mean, I've had, even working with like my dialysis patients, I've had a lot of family members that are like, no, he'll get better. And we're like, he's never going to get better. Like, he's just going to keep losing limbs. He's just going to keep getting worse. Like,
So then maybe that's a good guide for everybody. Like, hey, based on everything we know right now, is it looking good or is it not looking good for some kind of meaningful recovery? And if it's not looking good, then we should all be realistic and pragmatic about our choices, right?
well, and I think it needs to be like, you have to have a clear understanding of what the patient wants too. Because like, I've had some patients and they're like, yeah, you take all my limbs as long as I got, you know, my junk, we're good to go, you know, or whatever they're you know, as long as I got one hand.
That is a thing.
Yeah.
Wait, there's somewhere out there's a guy with no arms, no legs, and an awesome boner?
And he's like, great.
Maybe. It's not wasting all that blood pressure on these extremities.
I would not be surprised if there was a dude like that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my dialysis patients are missing, you know, toes and legs and fingers and stuff. And, you know,
Yeah.
some of them are just totally fine with it. And some of them are like, nope. So it's really, I mean, I think you have to really have a clear understanding of what that person's vision of quality of life is,
Yeah.
what that means to them.
So I don't know. This is super selfish. So going through the car accident and then like thinking I lost the ability to play racquetball to some extent. Like I could go in and play, but then I suffer the pain the next day. Kind of thinking like quality of life. I was like, fuck, I lost the one active sport that I like. I don't care for like running on the treadmill. I don't care for basketball nowadays. Nothing against it. It's just not my cup of tea. And to lose racquetball.
Like if you could, you would love to go play racquetball tomorrow.
Oh yeah. I mean, even a few months ago, I tried to play with him, and I was surprised. I did pretty well. There was one ball that went to the far right, and I was thinking I could jump with my left, the broken ankle, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to jump for that. I'm just going to let that ball go.
Good call.
But it was enjoyable. But it's like I know that I can't have that normally in my life anymore. So I just kind of like thinking selfishly, like, fuck, like that really sucks. I know when I think about that, I say selfish because then I think about other people. I have a friend he's been paralyzed from almost the neck down since high school. And I'm just like, I think about, I don't even know if I want to publish talking about this. I don't know if you want to flag it. I think I won't say anything bad, but if I was in those shoes,
Yeah,
100%. I would say, let me go. Good God, I don't want to be paralyzed from the waist down.
That's what I want to say, but I feel
No,
think of all the TV you could watch.
Yeah, hell no. You got me paralyzed from the waist down. Just keep me brain dead. That's fine. I'm totally okay with that. I mean, so, quality of life is different from person to person, right? I mean, some people do. There's a syndrome called locked-in syndrome, right? It's where basically they can't do anything. They're basically stuck to a wheelchair, and it's just
Input
the movement
only.
through their eyes that allows them to. And some dude wrote a novel with that. I forgot who it was or what his name was, but you can do that. Now, would I want to do that? Hell no. Would I? I would be in the same. I'm actually in the same boat as you. If like the most of the things that I enjoy, if I can't do, that to me is enough of a decrease in quality of life that it would significantly impact my mental health. And ultimately, that's different. As she was saying, that's different from person to person. Some people that have bad diabetes, which is the most common reason for kidney disease, don't care that their diabetes is running rampant, and they develop bone infections and have to have their limbs amputated. And there's other people that are like, you have to amputate my toe? What the hell?
That friend that's been paralyzed from the neck down, after I forget what it was, like I think a year after the car accident. So my right foot, like say the toes you could bring your toes down this much. My left side was like I could bring down my toes maybe that much. I posted a picture on Facebook, and then he replied, he's well, that's a lot more than I could do. I'm like, fuck.
Just making you feel like an asshole. Yeah.
I'm so glad I didn't see your toes on Facebook.
That is true, because they're, like that gives you a little perspective on like it could have been a lot worse. Like you could have lost your foot. Like you were messed up pretty bad. Like I could be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. Like that's a very clear reality, but I'm not.
Yeah.
And I didn't lose that, and I'm sorry that other people have, and that sucks.
Yeah.
And that's just something that like I have to keep perspective of that when I'm feeling sorry for myself, and going back to that, this could be my reality.
Wait, so are you overinflating the loss of your ability to play racquetball, or are you appreciating how little that is of your quality of life?
Can you do both at the same time?
I don't know. I'm asking.
I think so. You can definitely appreciate not being able to that your accident did not cause severe enough injury that you still can move around and do a lot of things on your own. But at the same time, realize that it really sucks, and this is really unfortunate that I now cannot dive for that ball like I really wanted to. And
I think to answer your question would be, so when I just went to Yosemite National Park about 4 weeks ago, and because I can't do a lot of the hikes, so I go find the map, and then I find all the hikes that are under a half mile.
Yeah.
Because for me, a round trip of 1 mile is pretty hefty on my ankle.
Yeah.
So I found there's only, I think, 2 waterfalls that I could get to.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then a majority of my trip is I like to drive to a river, set up a small tent, and then just hang out with a hammock and bring some food and barbecue on the river. That's my jam.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to Sawtooth National Forest next week, and then I'm buying fishing gear to try out fishing, because I hope I could fish.
Yeah.
So that I'm trying the best to enjoy my life, even though
those things you could enjoy more if you had full use of your leg.
Yeah.
You had 100%. Well,
I mean, fishing, man. You don't need a whole lot for
maybe you
fishing.
got a paddle boat and then fish, and maybe that.
But this is why you need to get a Jeep. You don't need feet when you got a Jeep.
Jeeps are like super
What
legs.
they are now? Damn. You guys are rich.
Well, mine's like an EcoBoost. It's great. It's great.
Supercharged.
On the back to the power of attorney thing, is there it sounded like you said there's a spot for like do not resuscitate, and or if in a coma for X amount of days? Is there?
I mean, everyone's I think got their own little bit. The way you want to word it is a little bit up to you. I like to put most of these things into 3 different categories. It's all based on like resuscitation for me. At least this is what tells me what to do in the event of like an unfortunate cardiac arrest or respiratory failure or dialysis or something else. If you give me clear indications of what you want to do. So there's something called full code, which is we need everything done. Anything that needs to be done to keep me alive, do it. No questions asked, no hold barred.
Zap them.
Just do everything that needs to be done. And then there's something called DNR comfort in my old hospital where I did residency. They called it comfort care rest, but I don't remember what they called it here. It's where it says, all right, I understand that the disease that I have is terminal. There's not much I can do about the overall disease process, but in the event of a cardiac arrest or respiratory failure or something, I don't want anything. Just let me go. But up until that point, you can treat me for infections, treat me for maybe if dialysis is necessary or different things like that. And that's where I feel like there's a lot more leeway as far as how you want to word it. You can be like, do all of the medical treatments that are available, including surgical treatments that are necessary. Please do until and unless my heart stops. Although some surgeons might say no, you need to. If that happens, you need to be full cut or whatever. But that's where people can say, these are the specific treatments that I'm okay with. These are the treatments that I'm not okay with. And then there's something called DNR comfort care only, where it's just purely, I'm going to hospice. I know the treatment. I know the condition I have is terminal. I know that I don't have very long to live, and whatever treatments that can keep me comfortable is all that I care about. The treatment plan right now is just to make me comfortable and not trying to treat the underlying disease process, because it's not going to happen.
I'm on the way out. Yeah.
Is that about right? Or I'm sure I'm missing something.
I think it does kind of vary just like where you're at. Because, and we have, because I know we have full code. I know that we have the comfort, whatchamacallit, and then we just have like just straight DNR, which is a separate order from the power of attorney stuff. And that's its own like order, and that has to be done per each procedure or per each hospitalization. So if they're coming into my unit, even though like it's unlikely they're going to do anything because they're not even detoxing where we're at, we have to have a separate order if they want DNR. So if they, I don't know, choke on something, or, they have some kind of, it's not, do not, Heimlich, but so if they have like for some reason some kind of like respiratory arrest and they have the DNR, then our nurses aren't allowed to touch them. Yeah.
So Renee, are you seeing mostly people that are just wrecked with alcohol and drugs? Is that
for the most part? Yeah.
Okay. So that's a different story than most listeners are gonna find themselves in at a hospital.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, and so by the time they come to us, they've already gone through a detox, like a medical detox.
Yeah.
So they're kind of out of the woods in that aspect.
Okay.
But some of these people are still very medically complicated. We have a lot of patients with diabetes. We have a lot of patients with like, high blood pressure, or they're anemic, or, I mean, every single one of my female patients right now has an eating disorder as well. So, those can lead to all kinds of different issues as well. So a lot of them do have kind of chronic health conditions that they just haven't obviously been treating because they've been in the throes of their addiction. So sometimes those things come up too. Like we have some guys that are diabetic and have never really taken care of it. And the whole concept of like how to take their insulin is just Greek to them. And
like
so their blood pressure's all over the place, their blood sugar's all over the place, and they're like, I don't know. And it's like, well, have you ever like tested your blood sugar? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That happens.
So it's a possibility, but it's not super frequent with us. Usually it's after they leave and then they go overdose and die. That's usually what I got.
What's your usual patient? Like what age? Is it like kind
the
of
youngest I've had is 23. The oldest I've had is like 82. So it's the whole gambit. It's a whole gambit. But yeah, the majority of them, they're like late 30s to mid 50s, I would say.
Yeah, because this is somebody whose life is a wreck, and now you're telling them, hey, so we can fix everything. You just got to you got to walk straight and take responsibility and start doing everything the right way.
You just got to change your whole life up.
Yeah, you just make yourself a program and find yourself motivated to manage all of this.
Yeah,
get your life together and fix everything that you haven't addressed in 20 years.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we get them clean, and then all the real issues start coming out.
Ooh.
Like, oh, by the way, I have all this childhood trauma. Like, oh, cool. Well, you're just going to stuff that back in that box. Let somebody else handle that.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, it's super important too.
Well, I appreciate that you guys do work that helps people, right? Because we
try.
We could all end up in a place needing help. So
Do you think it was when going in was the desire to help humans? Would you say more motivated in the beginning, or has dealing with humans now kind of changed?
I think I know what you're looking for.
You deal with it a lot more. I mean, me, it's more like I'm almost like a mechanic. You unfortunately have to deal with the motivations of people a lot more than I do. Where I could just be like, oh, you don't want to treat your disease? All right, get out of here. Go see somebody else.
I mean, that's kind of what I do too.
Oh, yeah?
You know, I mean, it's a pretty strong formula, you know, for what actually works for addiction and what doesn't.
That's true.
You know, and you need to put the right stuff in your body, you need to put the right stuff in your mind, and you need to have the right output. And that's what you got to do. And if you're willing to do that, cool. I'm here to help you out. Like, here's the tools. If you're not willing to do that, here's the tools. Do what you want with it. It's not my problem, because the guy after you might want to actually try.
That's actually, I think, what brings up the greatest point is that, like, yeah, you're not going to be a bleeding heart for every patient that refuses your services, because frankly, you don't have the time to go try to chase him down or her down to take your services. You've got like 100 other people that need your services. So I'm sorry. I mean, you give them the tools. They're adults, and they make of it whatever they will. So I love my job. I really do. It's a lot of fun.
Did you say you were doing a lot of colons today? Colonoscopies?
Well, yeah, I did more endos, more uppers, but yeah, I did definitely. But that part is fun. I'm not gonna lie, it is like playing video games. It's like I have to learn how to twist the joystick properly and use the dials properly and get to the place where I'm supposed to be and so on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, that part is
a great job.
Fun. It's great. But the treating diseases part too is I love it because I think in general I'm better at explaining most of these things than some of my peers. More of in a patient minded set. I mean, I have a lot of peers that are way smarter than I am, like levels and levels above what I can think of and how my thought processes and things like that. But one thing I think I can generally do is dumb it down. Well, not dumb it down, but like make it more accessible for patients to understand, like, oh, this is what's going on. Oh, crap, this is what could kill me. Okay, I can try to do something differently and things like that.
So you can translate the medical terminology into people talk.
Yes.
Okay.
Fairly good at that.
Yeah.
If you guys happen to have any questions on each other's professions, feel free to throw that in there. Is there earlier when I think the very first topic was where your guys' jobs intersect? You mentioned because there's 5 people involved and one is a social worker. Is there other places that you guys see where your jobs intersect at all?
I mean, so for a lot of my patients, obviously, like the alcoholic fatty liver is an issue. And that sometimes that's the conversation that my team has had to have for them. Like, hey, so you haven't treated this thing. You've been drinking a gallon of vodka a day and your liver is completely destroyed beyond repair. And I'm sorry that you're only 28 and hearing this, but this is where we're at. So, I mean, you know, we definitely have to partner with like our GIs and the pros to be able to kind of like explain that to them outside of just us being like, so you're fucked. But also like when like they've done so much damage to their bodies just overall. And part of the overall recovery is like learning how to take care of yourself in general, you know, taking care of your mind, body, and spirit all together. And part of that is like, are you eating what you're supposed to be eating? Are you not? Are you, you know, like...
So keep it under a gallon a day?
Under a gallon is good. Yeah, if you can do under a gallon, that's fine. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's all connected. You know, like people that struggle with depression and anxiety have like worse physical health. They do. You know, and it's not just because they turn to food for comfort. Like the stress has an impact on your organs.
Yeah.
It takes motivation to eat salad.
Definitely
hate
does.
Salad, man.
Definitely does.
God, I hate leafy greens.
I don't understand how people can just eat salads, and I have to be in a certain mood where I can eat and be like, I feel better about myself now that I've eaten the salad and have not eaten the thing that I really wanted to eat. But that's rare and few and far between.
I want to say a sexist thing. I can't believe the woman at the table says she doesn't like salad.
That's amazing.
I hate leafy greens. I feel like they're coating my teeth with like spinach. I ate like 3 cups of it today, but I just like I don't enjoy it. I did. If it's like all chopped up real small, like that's fine. But just like eating like a leaf is just like, ugh. No, thank you.
How about like when you go to Korean barbecue, do they give the
side dishes?
The big wraps of lettuce? You guys do Korean barbecue?
No, that's PF Chang.
No. Well, I think I've
Just
been.
eat the meat and noodles.
I love so Hobak has been my favorite Korean barbecue place here, and they have a lot of sides. I eat all their sides. Like they have the fish cakes, they have the macaroni salad, they have the beans and everything, and I love it all. I love the cold noodles. Yeah. They have kimchi fried rice.
Get those cold.
Amazing.
Ask them to warm up the cold noodles. It's even better.
Is that like sacrilege?
No, they as far as I understand, they have it hot and cold. Like
you have a fire right there, right? You can.
It'll often
Well,
like
watch yourself, lazy ass.
it'll often stick to the. I've tried it.
Woman, cook this for me.
All right, so for our Midwest listeners, Korean barbecue, they'll give you a ton of sliced. It's usually all you can eat, or like a set. Like here's 4 different kinds of beef and pork and stuff. And then there's a sort of grill at the table, built into the table, that you're either grilling or the staff will grill some meat right in front of your face.
Usually just elect somebody at your table.
Yeah, I'm definitely never that one. I just eat.
Yeah. Like, oh, I'm just too far away from it.
Yeah, you asshole. I hate you people.
Yeah. I try to help, but I overcook everything.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm no good at.
Yeah.
I'm clumsy.
If this table were, it would be you, man.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It'd be one of you two. I
He's
would
the
just be
most
like,
Asian looking one here.
don't know how to cook Korean food. I'm sorry.
You handle the grill. I'll get the staff to warm up these noodles for you.
That's awesome. Earlier you said you're more like the mechanic, so I think that would be. I was trying to look for an intersection a little bit more between your guys' careers. So I guess you saying that you're more of
my feel. So I think social workers. I wonder because, and this was my understanding before too, is that social workers all get kind of put in one bucket. Like, oh, you're a social worker, therefore you work with people in this particular type of group. But in the hospital, you work with social workers that do a variety of different things. Like I said, for transplant, there is a transplant social worker, and the transplant social worker is not the same as the floor social worker that works in a different area. Because if you've had the floor social worker try to do the transplant, they're not nearly as good. They're not trained to do that sort of thing. And then there's social workers that work in different areas. There's social workers that work with homeless folks. There's my understanding is in the San Francisco Public Library, they have a hired social worker there that can just work with the folks that come to the library that are looking for jobs, and a variety of other tools like that. So just like how medicine isn't one field, social work is there are multiple different specializations that you can go to. So I've worked with countless different social workers that work in different areas of the field.
I like to refer to us as a junk drawer. When I do like a new training for like all the hospital nurses, and they're like, explain to them what the social workers do. And I just have a picture on the slide of a junk drawer. And I'm like, this, like, if you don't know where it goes, you ask your social worker. We'll figure it out. Because we're just kind of like, we just collect all the stuff. We always have pens and tape, you know, like, and
Is therapy part of your work?
Yeah. Yeah. And it depends on kind of your level of licensure in terms of what you're doing. So when you're talking about floor social worker, you're probably talking a lot about like case management and discharge planning.
Yes.
And that's kind of like the master's level, like the LSW. What I do is more the clinical work. So I do pretty much the same thing as all the psychologists, which is the more therapeutic stuff. I can still do the case management, the discharge planning. I don't want to. I'm like, I have students for that. But it's very important stuff because like, where do they go from here?
Yeah.
You know, because like once the procedure's done, you're kind of like, all right,
my job is done.
My job is done here.
I don't know what nursing home to send them.
Yeah.
I don't know what the insurance will accept. I don't know where. I don't even know what else to do, where to go with them. So that's where the case manager. Sometimes the nurses, sometimes the social workers. Then they are able to tell me like, oh yeah, we can send them here. We can send them
Vig's
there.
on to the next colon video game.
Pretty much.
Yeah, give me another ass.
We're going in.
But yeah, you got to figure out like how long does this person need to be here? Who's going to pick them up? If not, how are we going to get them to where they need to go? Is that someplace they can go? Like, what do they need to take with them? Do they have clean underwear? Like,
Can you
those
drop
are all
me off
things
at
we
the
do.
Flamingo? I live right near
Even
there.
getting even literally getting vouchers for taxi cabs is something
Yeah.
that they deal with.
Yeah, bus passes are gold, I tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if this will be funny or connected. So I had another car accident back in 2004. Car, the back, I think something in the back wheel or axles broke, and I was on the freeway going about, I think, 70, and the
78.
What it probably was, but the wheel actually turned in like this on the
Whoa.
freeway. So then it started a fishtail. When it shot across 4 lanes, didn't hit anything, and then there's an embankment hill on the right, and it hit that and flipped upside down.
Ooh.
And then I was fine. I walked away with a scratch. I think this is the scratch that I walked away with.
Can't see it.
That was a life flash before my eyes. I think I mentioned that story. Right when the car was upside down, I was like, I had my eyes open. I'll try to say the story quickly. Where I was just, if I had my eyes open, I told myself I would react probably. So let's try to pretend like I'm a drunk person, because they seem to survive a lot of things. So I closed my eyes and the car crashed. You could hear, it was like in the movies, because I was like, should I open my eyes yet? It's not over. I want to open my eyes. I kind of opened my eyes and the glass shattered and it's flying at me, and the sounds in the movies, it's exactly in the movies. They have that spot on in the movies. And then I closed my eyes again. But so then get out of the hospital. They checked me out. Nothing was wrong with me. Get to the front receptionist lady. And then I said, I forget, the conversation ended up being, can I get a phone call to figure out who could pick me up or something? And then my brother was working late shift, so that was in the morning. So when I called him, he didn't pick up. And then she could see the distraught on my face. I was just through a car accident. I had they for whatever reason, my shoes were in the car. I think I was, that day I was driving with my shoes off. I was driving barefoot. And then, so I was like, can I get another phone call? And the lady was like behind a glass. She was on a desk behind a glass, a wall with a glass window. And then she gave me one more phone call, and then he still didn't pick up. I forget why I didn't try to call somebody else. I was probably just distraught. And then I was like, what do I do? She slid a bus token over. And then I was like, I think I'm so far away from my place. Like it's probably going to be 2 or 3 buses to get back. And like, I was just like, can you help me? Like, can I get another phone call or something? And she just slid another bus token. That was it.
That's all I got for you.
It was so weird to like walk out of there with no shoes, get onto a bus. And luckily I had to use 2 bus tokens. And luckily that was enough. I got home. It's just weird to walk in public with your shoes off.
Yeah.
And nobody's looking. Like I had regular work attire on, but
It's a good thing you didn't need a liver, because you wouldn't have been able to prove your support system. This guy's toast.
it was, to me, she had no empathy when she slid the second
She's
bus
like,
token.
I do this shit all day.
And I was thinking the bus token thingy when you said the
Renee, did you have
Taxi
some,
cab or bus pass or something.
yeah.
did you have some internal organ questions?
Internal organ questions?
Yeah. Did you have some GI questions? Was that a thing, or?
Oh, I think
Why does my dog fart so much?
I am not, in fact, not even going to try to answer that question.
He's about human sized.
That is a huge dog.
He
It's all the
is.
broccoli.
I wasn't sure if last week when I mentioned that Vig was going to be here, he was a GI doctor. I wasn't sure if you mentioned that through your classes currently for your PhD. Was something related to GI in
Oh,
there?
well, I mean, I'm dabbling. Like one of my areas of interest is just using, just focusing on how the diet actually impacts different, mental health conditions and psychiatric conditions. Because from what I've been looking at, there's a lot of research on the Mediterranean diet and how helpful that can be for inflammation, but also like reducing anxiety and depression and stuff like that. But I don't know if that's more of a dietitian kind of thing, or if you're you're already like, you can eat shit off the floor, no problem, it's fine. So
so for the average individual, I would say that's totally fine. I don't see any issue for the most part. I think people just make mountains out of a lot of it. And there's good reason behind why. Like I would not eat something off a hospital floor. That much at least. I would say, I'm letting that go.
Because there's a lot of sick people around.
Just crawling with C. diff.
Yeah. If it's here, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. I'll just pick it up off the floor and eat it. That's no big deal. As far as diet goes and its effect on gut health, I don't know if there's any good study that shows that for sure that's actually proven to show that there is a decrease in whole body inflammation with either a Mediterranean diet, and how do they even measure that is another question, because all of the markers that we have are not necessarily the most accurate, and did they even say it, like, did they measure this beforehand, and did they show that there was a measurable decrease that was statistically significant? And so I don't know that I entirely am fully understanding of the diet and the way it affects people that are average. So like me, you, everyone here. But there are absolutely certain individuals in which you got to be very careful on what they eat. Specifically, people that have irritable bowel syndrome. A lot of people that have irritable bowel syndrome will be sensitive to a particular food, and so you got to tell them that. Babies, those are the ones where their diet.
Doesn't irritable bowel syndrome just tell you itself?
Well, I mean,
Don't
like
you
they'll
find
tell
out?
you, that's what I'm saying, is that you find out and then, but you have to go investigating, right? Like, because most people eat a fairly
Fast food.
broad diet. They don't just eat one food group at a time. It's like,
I hit all the
everything together.
drive-thrus
Yeah,
on a rotation.
exactly. And so you have so many different things that are in there. You have to investigate which one causes what. So dietary recommendations, I specifically only give when I think like, okay, so there's certain triggers or there's certain diseases that make me say, okay, so if you have heartburn, then I generally tell people, stay off the alcohol, try not to go for triggers of that. Like sometimes people say coffee triggers their heartburn and things like that. So that's usually the dietary advice I give people.
I got one. What about probiotics? Useless, right? In my yogurt. They want to sell me probiotics in my yogurt.
How much sugar's in that yogurt?
I don't look at the
That's the
sugar
first.
content.
That's a great question. First,
Chobani is the most delicious sweet yogurt.
It is really good. Shivani.
I don't care if people take probiotics. I would never. Would I tell people to take probiotics in general? No. In general, I'm not like, oh my gosh, probiotics will save your life. No, I will just say like, if you want,
It doesn't
will it
hurt.
help you? It can though, and that's the thing is that some people take it to the excess where it can actually hurt you. You can actually get a bloodstream infection from probiotics.
Oh.
There are cases of bloodstream infections from probiotics, but these are cases. These aren't like 1,000 cases. This is like maybe like 1 in 100,000 cases you'll get a probiotic related infection.
Oh, someone's going to run with that. They're going to be like, probiotics are the devil.
But yeah, I mean, like most of the time, most things that people put in them, I'm just like, yeah. I don't like it when a lot of people take herbal supplements because a lot of these herbal supplements are not always regulated. I'm talking about this last time. They're not always very well regulated, and they can cause liver damage. They can cause other damage, and now you're stuck seeing me because you took an herbal supplement that you thought was going to be good for your health.
No, but if it's in the yogurt at the grocery store, that means that means Fauci looked at it, right?
No.
No? Oh wait, he's not FDA.
I think that's a different
Sorry.
Yeah.
FDA looked at it?
Is it the FDA or is it the
Food and Drugs?
Yeah, FDA. You're right. Yeah, I don't know if they've actually looked at it. I mean, it's food. Do they actually really look at it?
They open it up and then they put it back in and then they put
Yeah,
it
it's not poison.
back in the freezer for you.
Yeah.
They
That's
open
what
up the
they do.
vacuum seal container,
Yep.
contaminate it, reseal it, and
As long
then
as
they
it's
give
some
it.
guy in a lab
Maybe
coat
stains.
checking it out, I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
They took a spoon of it just to make sure it tasted right, and then they give it back to you.
I think I'm going to do that next time I go to Costco. Just like don a lab coat and just have like a stethoscope for good measure, and like a clipboard, and just like sample everything and be like,
and a divining rod
I'm here for your safety, ma'am. Just have lunch and go.
with the government.
Yeah.
No.
And
No,
they've
I-
been skimping on the samples lately, so I'm just going to,
I use
They have, haven't they?
yeah.
I don't really see them out anymore, and they don't have the variety that they used to.
I don't.
yeah.
When I was a kid, damn, you could literally eat lunch at a Costco
Oh, yeah.
just by going through all the different samples.
I like when they have a sample of something that's just like not even a sample. They're like, oh, look, it's a dryer sheet. And I'm like, why are you sampling
Yeah.
this?
Gotcha.
Why are you,
You could smell the lavender and smell
would
that
you like
it's really
to sample
good.
this pillow? Like, what? Can I take some with me?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
But that only has to work 1 out of 100 times.
Well, yeah, and then they have a sales
There you
rep that
go.
does it for them, I guess. But the food was great.
I use Chobani to sneak oatmeal into my belly.
What's wrong with oatmeal?
I don't enjoy
Or just
it.
you don't want to eat it?
Yeah, like I have zero natural desire to eat oatmeal, but I know it's a cholesterol sponge. So I'll pop a Chobani and try to stuff as much oatmeal into it as possible.
That sounds disgusting, but okay.
Well, I mean,
Yogurt and granola is good.
but the granola is just sugar and granola, right?
Yeah.
I don't like oatmeal or the idea of granola and yogurt myself. I'm
Yeah.
very picky with the sweet stuff. I eat everything hot. You put any vegetable, any meat, any grain, for the most part.
You can do warm oatmeal.
Other than
You microwave
oatmeal. Other than oatmeal, I've liked everything else.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just don't really like oatmeal so much.
It's so good for us.
Sure.
It's not?
Sure it is.
There's a lot. I mean, no, oatmeal is good for you, but there's so many things that are good for you. I mean, you don't have to just be like, oh, oatmeal is good, therefore I have to eat oatmeal.
I have to eat
You have to
oatmeal
eat
to
spinach.
soak up all the cholesterol.
So can I just eat more oatmeal and less spinach?
Maybe.
Yeah, I
It
don't.
is a grain. It's got carbs in it.
Yeah.
So
No, spinach
same.
is for the antioxidants. That's a superfood.
I'll just drink more coffee.
there you go.
I'm in.
I don't even drink coffee, but I can drink more energy drinks, right? Same.
They have coffee flavored ones.
Oh, good God.
Lots.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
The whole section at the
Everything's
7-Eleven.
a
Coffee
Yeah.
flavored energy drink.
There's probably 20 different kinds of
Good
coffee
Lord.
flavored energy drinks at the gas station.
So do you get a lot of people that are just like doing weird dumb shit with supplements and they're like, why isn't this working? Or like demanding like, what is the magic pill for me that's going to like solve it?
You'll definitely get some of those. You'll get some and I'm not, you could probably flag this. And I'm not trying to be
talk
sexist
shit.
here,
Talk
but young women in particular seem to always come with vague complaints and are notoriously in a GI office. It's not just me. In a GI office, they are notoriously have more vague complaints than most other groups of different age groups.
They also have a lot of difficulty deciding on a house to buy.
Oh, that I don't know anything about.
They always want a house they can't afford.
That
Well, because those are the pretty ones.
no, I don't know that.
I'm generalizing from my.
I mean, this is clearly a generalization. These are
Yeah,
the
well,
people
you
that
don't know what you want for dinner, so.
These are the only ones that are coming to the office. Obviously, this is not all young women. This is the young women that come to the GI offices tend to young men too, obviously, but
I'm talking about the single young women that have a loan pre-approval under $700,000 can never find a home they like.
I don't know if I could find a home that I like. I don't know. Have you guys have bought houses? My parents have forced me to look into different houses, and I don't know. I don't know what is. I'm very easy to settle, but then I'm like, oh, this house looks amazing. Wait, it's 1.3 million. Good God.
Yeah, we all want $1 million mansion.
No.
Yeah.
1.3 million here will get you a lot further than 1.3 million where my parents live.
Yeah, but so everybody starts there, but can you get past that and go, well, my budget is 400. What's the best thing I can get for 400? Then that becomes the reality that works. Yeah.
I have two medical questions, and I don't know. Should we start? Should we have started saying that this is not medical advice on any of the
Oh, too late. That's actually a great point. Yes, you should say that. Nothing that I'm saying is like trumps your doctor's advice. All it is this is just purely my opinion.
Except the coffee. Coffee's good.
So this is not medical advice. This is for educational purposes only. Can you hit the flag so I'll find that later?
Are you going to put it to the front?
Yeah, I'm going to cut.
No medical advice, but please go buy Bitcoin.
And this is not financial advice.
Shit.
The first one, I may not be in your wheelhouse, but I'll just ask it anyway. So I have this thing where if I sleep without a t-shirt or uncovered chest, it seems to get cold and I wake up coughing. Like I'll cough for 10 minutes straight. All I have to do is just cover up the chest and go back to sleep and I'm fine. So I actually have my wife makes fun of me. She's like, you're like a little baby. You have that little special blanket for your chest. I'm like,
Is it a hand towel?
it's a full blanket, but she makes fun of it. So it's specifically, I make sure to cover my chest as I fall asleep every night. Is that...
I have no idea, unfortunately. Like that. I mean, I could believe
outside of medical science.
I've actually tried to search Google and there's no results. I'm like, okay, if this doesn't exist, this is a bizarre.
No, I mean, it's you feel it. You've identified an issue, but
it's been happening since I was like, at least the earliest memory is around 27 years old, if not earlier, and it's
you need to eat probiotics.
I can't even begin to fathom like what the physiology or pathophysiology of that is. I mean, people that wake up coughing in the morning is because, you know, as you sleep, if you breathe through your mouth and you take really deep breaths or whatnot, you can dry out your throat and then you can start coughing. I mean, I have that problem once in a while, but the chest, I can't begin to guess.
It's gotta be a psychology problem.
Spiders. They're attracted to the bare chest, and then they crawl inside your mouth and lay babies.
You're obviously inhaling spiders.
That's awesome. All right, flag this one. Not flag. I'm gonna keep
And now
that.
everyone has nightmares.
I'm gonna keep that. This next question.
I hit it more times.
I'm gonna. This one I may not. I don't know. It's maybe too personal, or it may not even be in your wheelhouse. So. This is good. This is kind of embarrassing. So,
Giant
forewarned
penis.
you guys. So I get this, and this is issues.
As long as we're not talking about your sex life. I don't
No. It's
That's
when I need to go number 2. For some reason, this seems to happen once every 2 weeks.
Poopicate.
If I wait about 5 to 10 minutes, like say I'm in the middle of composing an email, and I know I got about like 2 or 3 more sentences, and I'm like. I start writing, and then a stabbing pain right around the anus, like it like hits me. I'm like, oh fuck! Like I actually like tense up my whole body. It hits hard, and I'm like, holy fuck! So then I run to the restroom. I don't understand why waiting 5 or 10 minutes triggers that, and it happens maybe once every 2 weeks.
How's the caliber of the stool? Is it really firm, really hard? Is it soft, or?
Oh, I haven't
red?
checked to see. It seems so the stabbing pain seems so kind of consistent. I never really considered is it super wet stool or super tough stool,
or is it, or in that moment is it like a lot more stool than usual? Because the only things that I can really think of right now is let's say you waited that extra time, but the rectal vault is really full and is very distended, and that waiting it just is spasming because it's so distended. Or the stool is just really you're constipated and the stool is very rough, and as it's contracting, it's just scraping the sides, and that's causing pain too. So
would
Are
rough?
you eating a lot of pebbles? No. Okay.
When you say rough, like as in like when I was on
opiates, any opiates will cause you to.
Okay, so but that if I from the opioids, I mean that is to the point where I had to take
some sort of
laxatives.
That's very common.
But it came out like super dry and super rough. So when the stabbing pain thing, it's a normal. Like
That was also 8 years ago, right?
it was
Not related.
Oh no, yeah, not related. No,
Yeah.
no. I think we're just talking about the. I was trying to describe what he means by rough, so I was
Yeah.
using that. The stabbing pain. It doesn't seem like there's a consistency issue. If that's what I'm trying to get at.
Sounds like you're trying to hold it too long.
Well,
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
really the question.
5 or 10 minutes on an email, like.
No, but well, so
I mean, how bad was the urgency? Was you like, oh my gosh, I got to go, and then you wait 5 or 10 minutes?
No. It's so when say I'm at work and then you get that feeling you gotta go number 2, and then so literally I'm in the middle of the email and it's the first indication where my body's like, hey, we could go. So I'm just composing the email and it's just 5 minutes later and it could be 2 minutes or 5 minutes later and it just starts stabbing me. It's just bizarre.
But it doesn't happen all the time. It just happens once in a while.
No.
So
let me help our audience because anatomically, right? There's a large intestine where the poop's hanging out, and then you have a bowel movement, and the poop goes from the large intestine down to a colon.
no. So you have the large intestine is the colon.
Okay.
So we use those words interchangeably. I have
Okay.
no idea when they started calling it the colon because it doesn't even look like a colon. So
Yeah.
don't ask me about that. So you have the colon. It starts from the right, and it kind of goes from down here. It goes up and then goes to the side, and then goes down to the left, and then you have this S-shaped part called the sigmoid, and then it goes to the rectum, and then it goes out.
So I'm guessing your bowel movement has pushed poop into your rectum, and you're trying to hold it in your rectum when it's at the gate to.
But if I Google this, why hasn't somebody else like written like, oh, this?
So other people just going poop.
No, I mean,
Well, what I mean is that it happens so infrequently that I don't necessarily think there's a basis for it. It could just,
Okay.
it could literally just be a spasm.
Okay,
It could just be
okay.
that your rectum is spasming, and that's
Okay.
where the sharp pain is coming from. And there doesn't necessarily have to be a rhyme or reason for why that happens. And since it happens so infrequently, I would have just been like, yeah, if you need to go, just don't hold it and go if you're really worried about this pain.
It's like when the movie's getting out and the crowd is getting out of the theater, but then you keep them in the lobby too long. They're going to start pushing at the doors to get out of the fucking lobby because now they're crowded
but
in the
I
lobby.
feel like because like when you get that feeling that you could go poop, like I'm correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know I don't know medically at all, but I'm imagining your body can hold it for another hour or two. Not that I don't do that.
Have you ever tried to hold it in when that severe pain occurs?
Usually, like I'll try to get to the bathroom as soon as I can. So there's times like when I'm in the office, that stabbing pain is enough where like in the middle of while I'm walking to the bathroom and it's stabbing me more. I'm like walking funny. Like it's like it's embarrassing. Like if someone knew what was going on, they would be like, "What the fuck is Liem doing? Like why is he walking sideways?"
That really does just sound like it just sounds like a spasm.
Okay.
I mean, like, it happens.
Okay,
I wouldn't
I'm-
worry about it at all.
Okay, good. I'm happy to hear that.
I'm 0% doctor, and I'm 100% sure you're just holding your poop too long.
That's really what I thought.
The thing that doesn't make sense to me is like I feel like I'm not waiting. I don't have anything in my life that's pressing. So when I
You got to finish his email.
when I tell you that it's a 5-minute email, that's the only that's the only thing in my life that would hold it back 5 minutes. Like other than that, I go right away. So I like even when you get that sensation to go pee, you could probably hold it for quite a few hours.
No.
So I imagine poop is similar.
Yeah, it is. No, it is. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying that, because again, it's not happening every day. So you can't say every day, oh, it's because your rectal wall is just extremely distended and that's what's causing it. It sounds like it just happens once in a while, and it could just be that as it's passing one particular area of rectum, it's just causing it triggers something, causes a spasm, and that's what causes this extreme pain. How long does the pain last?
It's just
Till I
stabbing.
poop.
No, it's stabbing until I poop. Yeah.
Oh, what? If we did a CAT scan, could we measure Liem's rectal vault and see if it's extra large or not?
Yes.
What would that?
There's a normal size.
Yeah, you could say that. Oh, it's extremely distended.
Oh, so if it's super small, then that would more answer it. Or-
No, if it's extremely distended, then it can be like, oh, your rectum is trying to spasm, trying to push out because it's over distended or something.
Okay.
Or if you're regularly trying to hold too much poop in the lobby.
No, I really don't. I really don't think it's holding poop at all. Because, like I'm saying, like you get that sensation to pee. I know I could hold it for a few more hours, which I don't.
No, that's a different thing. That's a bladder and a urethra.
I'm trying to explain the feeling of poop. It's not like I'm holding the poop. As soon as I get the feeling, I go.
Yeah.
It's just once in a while I have an email and it's like, okay, I want to finish. I got 2 more sentences. Let me finish this. Stabbing pain. Like, oh fuck, I gotta go. Like,
Oh, shit.
That doesn't happen with every email. That happens only once in a while.
yeah, but still, it's like it's kind of annoying and it's just ridiculous. Like, give me 5 minutes, body. Come on.
Our bodies. I threw out my shoulder just by throwing one frisbee. My freaking body's giving out on me already. I'm only 36. What the hell?
Is there an age element to being able to hold one's poop? Like it gets harder and harder as you get older?
No, actually, it gets in general. People get more constipated as you get older.
Oh.
Most people do, at least.
Why is that?
Eat more salad.
It's just the colon or the body just. When I say older, I'm not talking about like in your 40s. For the most part, probably it's not until like your like late 60s, early 70s is when your body the colon just starts slowing down in terms of number of contractions. So we usually recommend fiber as you get older.
By chance, when you're answering Emmett's question, were you also refer the question was when you get older, is it harder to keep your poop in? Like, does that apply to 70-year-olds? Because then you see those Depends diaper thingies. So what's
those are for people who can't hold it in, or people who have dementia, who they can't necessarily they can't tell you, I can't go.
Poop time.
I was when I see the Depends at Walmart when I'm walking by, I'm thinking like, oh, us humans must kind of fall apart as we get older, and then holding poop in must be. That's what I theorized when seeing that. But
I mean, yeah, like I said, it generally seems to be associated with dementia for the most part. I mean, that's the people that I generally see with Depends, or people have so many different comorbidities or on so many different medications, and some of those medications can cause constipation. Some of those medications can cause diarrhea. So even if they're trying to hold it in, they can still have accidents. So when you're on a lot of different meds, you might need to be on. You might need to have a diaper.
Dementia. Why would that have any correlation?
Oh, because they can't tell you when they need to go, and they may not be able to walk.
Right now.
Yeah, or you might not know
Or they might not
what
know
that sensation is.
anymore.
Oh, got it. Okay. Now I'm connecting that. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, good shit.
Good shit. Do you look at your own poo?
Yes.
Yeah.
I always look at my poo, and I'm like, it's like a litmus test for how well I'm doing today. Like, am I eating what I'm supposed to eat? Like, are we solid? Are we not?
It's almost easier to tell by the feel as it's going out. Like, because if you eat veggies, for me, everything passes through so much easier.
Yeah.
If I ate Korean barbecue and only ate meat, it has like a thicker feel, and it's tougher to come out and takes a while, or can take a while.
I think I heard when I was very young that if you have enough fiber in your diet, then it floats. So I'm always checking to see if it's floating.
Actually,
No, it floats if you're not absorbing too much fat.
If I'm not absorbing too much fat.
So if your pancreas isn't working, then it'll float, and that's rare. And or if you have diarrhea and like
You're saying it shouldn't float?
unless it's like really, really thin and like diarrhea like where it's like really small and fluffy pieces that'll sometimes float. Most of it usually sinks.
But if I just eat veggies all day, it won't float?
Probably not,
Oh.
unless your pancreas isn't working.
Healthy poo is a sinking poo.
Yep.
Really? Now I'm in trouble.
oh, I thought I heard opposite. Huh.
No, healthy poop sinks usually.
Okay.
It doesn't float.
I'm gonna connect
There's
my
no buoyancy.
I mean, it's not like. So if you dropped this phone in the water, it will go straight to the bottom.
Yeah, like a rock.
Poop will not go that way. It will slowly float to the bottom, right? It's not going to go straight as. I mean, maybe it does for some
I'm not
people.
talking about floating above the surface, but like hanging at the surface.
You talking about icebergs here, or
I'm talking like submarine, just barely, but not sinking.
In general, they sink.
it doesn't
They're
sound
supposed to
right?
sink? Maybe they're stacking up.
Yeah, right. So like if I mean, because the toilet bowl is shaped a certain way, right? Like you can't like once it touches the bottom,
You
Now we're
building
gonna-
a
the
log
water
cabin
will keep
over
it
here?
up.
I'm going to reevaluate my poop now. I'm
flush a lot, and then
going to send you guys pictures.
I have unfortunately gotten more pictures of poop than anything else.
I mean, sometimes you have like a really impressive poo, and you just want to share it with
Yeah.
somebody.
Look at this monster.
Few people appreciate that. It's like, hey, look what I made today.
All right, guys, we have a poop contest for the next month. Who's got the biggest
no, thank you.
Game
biggest
on.
log? Group chat, let's go.
All right, I'll judge you to do it.
I'm gonna connect my story with fiber. I'll connect it to fiber. It's kind of long, I think. So I went camping. I was going to the restroom to go number 2 in the public restroom there at the campsite. As I'm approaching the campsite or the restroom, there was like a cowboy looking. I'm just gonna say a cowboy, but I don't know, potentially redneck type of guy just hanging out nearby.
Is he chewing tobacco?
I wouldn't doubt it. His campsite happened to be near, I think his tent was near. I walked up. I looked at him. I didn't really think of anything. I just kind of did the nod thing, kind of like hello, and then I went and do my business. So when I do my business number 2 in the public restroom, well, in this case, when I go camping, I usually have my like toiletries. I got my toilet paper. I also bring a disposable cover because the paper ones I dislike the paper ones. If I could just pay 50 cents for a
Is it
nice
plastic?
one. It's a plasticky one that has like a paper at the bottom, plastic at the bottom, paper on top.
Does it kind of stick to the seat or something?
The new one I bought does.
Ah,
So
That-
fancy.
I didn't know these were things.
it's a toilet seat liner.
I don't usually poop in public bathrooms. I actually do like not.
You'll just hold it for 5 minutes.
I'm usually
stabbing pain.
If I can avoid it, I'd
if
rather
I can
not.
avoid it, I'd rather not. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I also bring I bring wet wipes. I bring toilet paper. What what else do I?
Good book
Boombox.
to read.
Yeah. So then,
Camera.
Obviously.
so I go in, and the whole process kind of takes a little bit longer, especially for camping, because then I might have a big jacket out camping. It's cold. You got a big jacket, unzip everything, and do your business. But for me, then I gotta line the line. I go as far as to I'll wipe the. I mean, I think most people probably would. You wipe the top of the toilet seat with paper. I'll wipe it twice to make sure that it's not super wet or anything.
Now you're just wasting paper.
Maybe
Using the same wipe or a different wipe?
different. It's got to be a different one.
Oh, damn.
You want it clean.
All right, so you are wasting paper at this point.
You want to make sure it's freaking clean, because you sit down and you get that wet thing on your. You get maybe some wet brown stuff on your leg.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, that's
why.
a little rough.
Yeah. So then I. But I mean, I already have the seat cover. So why do I go that far or whatever? But
Is this a porta potty or is this like an actual bathroom?
actual bathroom? But in the camping, it's
I thought those were all mostly porta potties.
depends on where you go.
Uh-huh.
So this was a regular decent,
Like slightly
restroom.
nicer than a gas station bathroom.
Sometimes worse.
Ooh.
So gas,
that's-
gas station, but level.
Yeah, probably a little bit worse. And actually, it's kind of like me and you we'll get out of the restroom like, oh yeah, that was a decent restroom. But when we say decent restroom, it's like as long as it's a little bit nicer than a gas station restroom, where we say that's nice.
Didn't make me want to puke.
Yeah. So doing the whole process, it takes time. I think I hear that cowboy come into the bathroom. And I swear I could have heard him, like he does the whole loogie thing and spits out. Now, I'm adding a little bit to the story. So he goes in. I'm still doing my things. It's like getting it situated. You could hear, I bring a plastic bag with all my toiletries. It's just taking forever. I always take forever. He goes in, he sits down, he does his business. You hear the sounds. He does
Some plopping.
Yeah. And then he does one wipe with toilet paper, and he walks out of the restroom, doesn't wash his hands. So then I was talking.
It's efficient
and disgusting.
There's a couple ways to it that I'll go. So I started elaborating on the story while I was elaborating thoughts on this story or angles with my cousin Josh. I was telling him, I don't know if that guy saw me from when I walked, or I don't know if it was the same guy. I'm assuming it was the same guy. And he was probably, I kind of feel like he was trying to be a man's man, be a macho man, masculine type of thing, and prove that you
want to impress you.
And give everybody salmonella.
yeah.
Wait, were you walking in with a purse? Is that why?
No, it's a plastic bag, like a Walmart bag, plastic.
Oh, okay.
Walmart bag. It literally probably was a Walmart bag, but I don't know if he's trying to say, hey, I'm a sissy for freaking bringing all the toiletries, taking my time and doing that. So then I was telling Josh about it, and then somehow we went into a fiber conversation where I was like,
oh, we're back to fiber.
I was telling him, like, I don't understand how people could even flush once, wipe once. Like, to me, like, I would get kind of like a butt rash or something. Like I feel it. For me, maybe I mentioned to him where if I wipe once and then go walking around the rest of the day, it kind of, I feel something there.
Are you saying one wipe doesn't clean it all up?
In my opinion, no. And I go as far maybe wasting. I don't think it's wasting paper. I get to the point where you wipe enough where you don't see any brown at all. To me, that's how you should wipe. But maybe that's
this is something our society has not discussed.
Yeah. So then
I don't discuss it, but I kind of agree with you. I definitely am not like, oh, there's some brown. I think it's good.
We're probably fine.
So I'll go as far as I wipe dry, meaning dry toilet paper. Wipe as much until it's no trace of brown. Then I go with wet, and then wet usually even has more. Like it'll show up more. So then I'll go as far until the wet is no brown at all. So
you go dry then wet and then do you do dry again?
No. Depending on how wet.
Kind of air dries.
It depends on how much it's.
You left out the standing
Air it
there
out
holding
a
it
little
open
bit.
for 5 minutes.
I don't go that far, but for the sake of the story, like sure.
Oh my goodness.
So then I was mentioning like if that story to Josh, and Josh was like, well, maybe you don't have enough fiber in your diet. And then because he was saying he has a coworker that will even sometimes take, is it Mucinex? No. Metamucil. Yeah, Metamucil. And Josh will happen to go into the same bathroom as him, and then Josh will go number one, and that coworker will go number two, and that coworker will finish before Josh is done, and then Josh and him, the coworker, will talk it out, and the coworker will say, "Yeah, if you take the Metamucil, that coworker saying your poop comes out super clean, where you almost don't have to wipe."
I think that's a person-to-person thing. I don't think that's everyone is like that.
So then Josh was also the company had a dietary person where Josh asked about his poop. If he had more fiber, could he go poop like his coworker? And the dietitian said, yeah. If you
It's one way to find out.
the dietitian suggested, I think
I know what to get you for Christmas.
apples or oranges that have fiber. I forget which one.
Most fruits have some amount of fiber.
So the dietitian was suggesting that stuff. So after hearing that story, what are your thoughts on the fiber? Like, does that really?
Fiber is great. Everyone should have some amount of fiber. If you're not getting enough fiber, you can get constipated, and that's usually the first thing that we tell people is that have more fiber. Metamucil is great. There's another one called Benefiber that sometimes people use, and it really doesn't matter. Whatever.
There's no downside.
No, unless you're taking too much fiber, then you can get diarrhea. But then it's easy to cut back on, and it can cause some bloating. I guess is if you take too much fiber, you can feel bloated because of just gas. And
Wait, could I eat less vegetables if I eat Metamucil?
Probably, but
Oh, yeah.
I would prefer if you eat more vegetables and less Metamucil.
Other stuff in them too that might be good for you.
Yeah,
Can they put the vitamin
some other
K in
essential
there?
vitamins and minerals that are in there.
If I could eat a powdered vegetable,
There are protein shakes that have like all the essentials, and there's like a Centrum Silver or some shit that has like all the essential vitamins and minerals.
is there a protein shake that has all the vegetables I need to eat for the day? My 5 servings or whatever.
There is like a powdered vegetable, like
V8.
no, it's like a protein shake. It's like a scoop, but it's like
Yeah.
vegetable powder.
Yeah, if that could save me from eating all these vegetables, then
Man,
that'd be nice.
But it
I
probably
love
wouldn't-
veggies though.
Really?
They're done right, roasted veggies.
I love it. I mean, my favorite, like one of my favorite cooking smells ever is like grilled onions.
Yes,
Grilled onions smells.
onions and bell
so
peppers.
good. Yeah, they are so good.
bell peppers. I used to like them. I don't know what happened to my taste buds.
Yeah, I've
Roasted onions, yeah.
loved them all. And Indian food for me, like you can't make Indian food without grilled onions. Like they're in like everything.
I thought Lem was going to ask what is the appropriate number of wipes.
I mean,
Until
let's
there's no
talk about
brown,
it.
I think is the appropriate number.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you have that super clean, pristine sinker.
Once
and
in
it's
a
like,
while, yeah.
Day well
That's
done.
what I thought you were talking about.
That's
It's
an
like once in a
accomplishment.
while you will get that one where it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
comes out and you're like, yes,
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
little wipe. There's nothing there. You move
Torpedo
on.
away.
Done yourself proud.
I feel like that's like 1 out of 50 times.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's not common. Maybe some people, maybe that your friend, his buddy, now that he takes Metamucil, all comes like that. Great. That doesn't happen for everybody.
No, but
It's not
isn't
a
there
thing.
some wasted effort to extinguishing every last molecule of poop from your anus?
So you're saying you
No.
like wallowing in your own filth?
No, I'm saying there's some
That's what I'm
efficient,
hearing from this.
there's some rational,
Rash,
prudent.
rash.
When you start bleeding,
No, the
stop.
So I would say, like, if I find that on the days, I can't remember how long ago, but if there's a situation where you run out of toilet paper or whatever, you could feel it like after a few hours, like a baby
Yes.
has a butt rash.
Yes.
Probably because of the poop.
that is a thing.
Yeah.
That is a thing.
So that's what I feel that I get. So I'm trying to prevent that. I don't want that.
No, that is actually a thing.
I would bet that if
Unless
you
you
did,
just walk around in your own filth like that cowboy, in which case then no
I would
matter
bet
anymore.
if you did 50% of the cleanup effort, you would get 90% of the way there.
Why don't you test this theory out and let us know how you're
Because I don't do that much. And
In
I'm
India,
fine.
they don't even fucking have toilet paper.
They're fine.
Damn, it's so weird having to. So all the toilets in my because I was in India last week, and all the toilets in my cousin's house, they were all like regular sitting toilets instead
Yeah.
of like the squatting ones, and they just had like a little hose on the side that
Yeah.
you just take and you just kind of try to
Fire
go
it
back
up.
there and fire as much as you can.
Hose her down.
And I was just like, what is this? And I'm walking around with like why is it? All
Wet
right, come on.
No,
There
but
we go.
if you miss some speck of poop, then it just sits there on your anus and dries up, and that's it, right?
Well, it's like bidets,
Yeah.
like in Japan. But of course, they got like music and
So
you
the
got,
the counterpoint to
adjust
that is that the
temperature.
cowboy guy is walking through life just fine, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can walk through filth and live just fine. In fact, that's the reason why we have more autoimmune diseases in our country than in third world countries, because they're literally. You guys watch Slumdog Millionaire, right?
I have not. No.
Do you remember there was a
poop scene?
That scene? I mean, everyone probably got grossed out, but there are probably some people that are like, whatever, it happens.
The scene is they're basically like their bathrooms is equivalent to kind of
Like a porta potty.
our porta potty. But imagine it's a little bit higher up, elevated, and then there's a pile of poop down below, and I think the kid fell through. And
For a little tiny ass picture, he fell through the thing.
Like he went to get the picture?
Yeah,
Okay.
for a little one of those. Yeah,
It was
Into a
invaluable.
porta potty, basically.
yeah, and then he fell through the porta potty, and now he just comes up. He's like, yeah, and he's
Success.
covered in shit, and it's just like, oh.
No, but then you go and hose off, right?
Well, yes, but will you ever get that smell off of you? I don't think you can ever not smell yourself. Smell that just.
I'm not advocating diving into sewage.
But if you dropped your cell phone in a porta potty,
Yeah.
you'd be hard pressed to not go and get it.
I mean,
I think I'm gonna call it a day. I'll be like,
I think I would.
Or like your car keys or your wallet
oh,
or
yeah, that would be tough.
you know,
That would be tough.
yeah.
I'm luckily rich enough to replace those things.
But when you're out in the middle on a campsite and you drop your car keys, you're kind of
Yeah.
unless you get them.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
At that point, I'll take a stick and try to go and fish it
go
out through
fish
the
it out.
keychain.
the
Hopefully.
the comment on thinking if I could do 50% to get 90% of the effort.
Yeah.
There's times where I feel like I've gotten it all, and then I still get that rash feeling. And so then that actually bringing up that conversation is where the fiber thing with Josh, he was like, maybe that rash thing comes from not.
No, it's just. I mean, if there's some particles, maybe that because it happens to me too. That's where water actually comes in, water and the wet wipes. So usually water will wash away everything, and then I've never had that problem afterwards.
Part of that might be psychosomatic too.
Also true.
You're just
Also
sitting there
true.
with this thought on your head, like I got poop particles, and you know how you can like make yourself itch places.
Yes,
Oh,
that is a thing. That is
maybe.
100% a
Hey.
thing.
I'm pro cowboy.
That's gross, man. Damn guy didn't wash his hands too.
I mean,
to
that's-
add to the story.
Think of how much more he's getting done in the day when
That
you're spending
is
20
so
minutes in the.
awful.
and how many people.
Please wash your hands.
Hopefully he's not getting people sick too.
That's what I'm saying. He's spreading salmonella everywhere.
No, he's spending less time in the gross bathroom. Lim's hanging out in the bathroom.
Just
He takes
breathing
that.
it in.
He goes and touches all the fruit in the grocery store with those same hands.
Oh,
like, are you
man.
serious? Like, that's disgusting.
I don't think that guy's buying much fruit at the grocery store. He's going straight to the jerky aisle.
I guess that's fair. I guess
He's
that's
like, I got
fair.
some peanuts and some jerky and a
Well,
beer.
I mean, so if he has a wad of toilet paper and he doesn't touch any of the poop, then isn't his hand still clean?
No, because you can't see like all the bacteria or anything that's in that area. And I mean, so hepatitis A in particular, the most common spread for hepatitis A, or the spread for hepatitis A, is called the fecal oral route. And
Poop in your mouth.
right, basically. But yeah, I mean, it's from people that don't wash their hands after they have a bowel movement, and they're food workers, and then that does transfer over to the food that they prepare if they're not wearing gloves or anything else like that. So you should always wash your hands.
Are you telling the young kids don't eat ass?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no. Hepatitis A is much worse in adults than it is in kids.
Kids can eat ass all day.
And it's like, yeah, whatever. They're fine. It's fine. In fact, that'll give them a good microbiome. It's all good. But adults, it's like, whoa, you might
too old for
might
that shit.
actually kill yourself now.
Okay, if you're under 18, fine. But if you're over 18, don't eat the ass.
It's no longer fun for you.
Looking for a world of hurt.
This contains a lot of risk. Yeah. What about when you go pee-pee and you don't wash your hands? Is that there's no Hep A on your ding dong, right?
No, but
What if my ding dong is cleaner than my hands? Because my ding dong hasn't touched anything since I left the house. Like I'm touching.
I mean that's generally actually probably true. Is that it's in a temperature controlled environment and you're not really touching it with anything and just jack off in your pants or something. So
Didn't do
it probably
that.
is.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it's just always because there's always bacteria all over your body, right? It's not like every square inch of your skin is going to be covered in some amount of bacteria.
Yeah.
So there's different bacteria and slightly different bacteria in maybe slightly different places. It's probably just better. It's just good practice to wash your hands.
I generally do.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you don't. Maybe at home you maybe don't.
Oh, I was just saying the logic of I touched my ding dong, so now I should wash my hands. Is flawed because my hands are probably dirtier than my ding dong, right?
So maybe wash them before and after.
I have.
There you go.
I
Stop
oftentimes
contaminating your ding dong with your dirty hands.
I will oftentimes wash my hands before going to take a pee-pee or stepping up to the urinal.
So glad I have this information.
Yeah, and then I'll look at my
Are
cell
women's
phone.
bathrooms as nasty as men's bathrooms?
It depends. Sometimes they're worse.
Good God, is that actually a thing?
Oh yeah. Like,
Wow.
so I used to work retail and we would have to clean the bathrooms and it was like not a horrible part of town, but like not great. And the women's restroom, like just the shit that went on in there. Like, so women's restrooms, we have, you have like your trash can and then we have the little box on the side for like feminine products. Somebody shit in the box.
Oh,
Like, what it's like, how is this
that's off the reservation now.
like, what is the logic here? Like they had to
We've
open
left
the
the plot.
box and then like somehow
Position
maneuver
themselves.
over there to shit in the box.
Yeah.
I'm like, I had to like take the thing off the wall and like throw it. Yeah, that was just like a letter to corporate.
Oh, that's a thing.
Fun. Yeah, no, women's restrooms are nasty. They are straight nasty. I mean, we don't pee all over the floor, but
Which is
like,
that's a thing.
yeah. Aside from that, they're pretty gross.
Or on the
gonna lie.
commodes. Good God, people don't know how to aim. And you know what? Sometimes it's not necessarily the guy's fault that they can't aim, but there's a lot of times that people just don't know how to aim properly.
Or you don't care because it's not your bathroom.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, some people
Just
don't care about other
practicing,
people.
just like.
No, seriously,
all over
like
the
the
toilet.
stream, sometimes it can go in literally two different directions. You're like, how the
Can't
what
win.
the
Yeah.
why?
That's how that
Or
eating rocks.
4 different directions, and you're just like, I don't understand how this is
sprinkler mode.
possible. It's one little slit. How is it going in this many ways?
I've heard that from multiple women that I asked them, is the guy's bathroom or the women's bathroom worse? And multiple women have told me the women's bathroom.
I've
is
had to
worse.
clean both, and in general, I would say the women's restrooms are nastier.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you guys are in there so long. I would assume that you guys want it clean when you're in there forever.
We would love it to be clean, but maybe the thought process is like, I'm so sick of cleaning this shit at my own house. I'm not going to clean up somewhere else. I don't know.
My theory on it is okay. The when you go pee, there's times where it'll go in 2 slits. Two
directions.
so
Or apparently 4.
I don't think I've seen.
I've had it happen once where it's like I'm literally sitting there like, what is going on right now? How is my dick doing this? Do I want an award? Do I get an award
Should
for
I be
this?
filming this?
So in that situation, like either 2 or 3 slits or whatever, a little bit may go on the side of the urinal because you're aiming straight, and then what I've heard, this is actually partially from a female friend telling me. She's like, I asked her, why are the female restrooms so bad? And she's like, well, us women, like, you guys have a penis to pee out and it's a little bit straighter. And then, so now when I'm thinking about the straighter thing, that the time where you pee a little bit on the side of the urinal, imagine that urinal could have 1,000 guys through that day. So it's just unfortunately a little bit from each guy, or a little bit out of 1 out of every 20 guys. It just starts to build up. So the liquid starts to build up on the sides, and you could get a puddle.
I don't know where you're going, but I
So
love
yeah,
it.
I'm really confused.
So then with the female friend, when she's explaining to me, she's when women go pee, it doesn't exactly go straight down at all, because when they sit down, it can trickle on the leg and whatnot.
Can go all kinds of different crazy directions.
And then
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not usually like a multi-stream, but it'll like, I don't know if it's like a static electricity or something, but it just like it kind of changes direction.
There's no spigot.
It's
There's no,
moody.
Oh, there's nothing you can control. You can't control it. So I guess
Yeah, you can't just turn it off.
Well, plus
Yeah.
you're doing a hover squat usually.
Yeah.
I do the hover squat. Yeah. Like I don't go with a whole bag of like
Can't
stuff.
sit on a wet toilet seat.
I mean, what? But there's.
Yeah, I'll do the hover.
So say the first 20 females go fine on that one specific toilet of that day. The 21st female comes in and trickles a little bit on the seat. So then the next 20 women will want to seat cover, or want to hover over the seat, if that makes sense.
No,
Yeah,
you just
we're gonna
hover by
hover.
default because.
But I'm just
If it's someplace like
like
I
the
know this is a
Venetian.
safe place for my bum, then yeah, I'll probably sit. But like if I don't know if it's like gas station, porta potty, or something, I am hovering.
I have like very specific bathrooms in my hospital. I'm like, this is the bathroom that I'm going to go poop in. Although none of the other bathrooms am I going to go poop in.
Basement's always a good bet.
There is the physician. The physician lounge bathroom is usually that's usually one of the cleaner bathrooms, but
Lower volume, right?
the problem is there's always physicians going in and out, and I don't like. I don't know what it is. I don't like to be in the same bathroom as someone. Like when I'm pooping, I would prefer someone else not to be there.
Yeah.
You don't
So I
want
always go
shop
to the
talk.
remote. Yeah, I usually like to be on my own, so I go to the most remote place, and that's why basements are always the best.
Basements are great.
How's it hanging?
Yep. Well, for ours, like for my hospital, our cleaning staff, they're housed in the basement because apparently we're assholes. But yeah, like so
The
they're
morgue
going
is
to
also in the
take
basement.
really good care of their own bathrooms.
Yeah.
Like they're the first to get clean. They're always like,
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of basements in Las Vegas, so it's rare for any building to have a basement.
I guess we have 2.
I think all hospitals will have a basement.
A basement?
Yeah.
That's where the morgue is usually.
Yeah, the morgue. Our morgue is right next to our kitchen.
You want to keep the bodies underground? Is that the...
Yeah. Well, and
I guess.
we shuttle patients from one unit to another. So if they're like on
Yeah.
med surge and they need to go to like OBS, they'll actually get shuttled through the basement. So they're not like you're not wheeling them through the hallways. Like
Yeah.
that would be weird. Yeah. It's
Okay.
an effective way to get from one place to another.
How
I'm
many beds is
imagining...
the main VA hospital.
I'm imagining our listening audience hears this fantastic sound quality and they think we're on like a stage or some incredible sound this sound room studio and just all this poopy talk.
Just talking about
Yeah.
poop.
Yeah.
I haven't finished my point
Death
yet.
and
So,
Like
So
and
then-
subscribe if you like this. Hit that thumbs up and help us support.
so that female friend also added this. She's all, you got to think with females. There's tampons, the other one, pads, and she's like, there's also other liquids, so blood. So if one female goes in there and accidentally does something slightly wrong, it may splatter on the seat and or the ground or whatever. And then my current theory is like, well, so I wonder if men versus women, is it maybe some, if I had to pick a number, like 6 times more the amount of liquids that may splash out or what. So what we guys have been to a gas station, and you've been to or a stadium where the bathroom is really bad. Like, I mean, there's fucking puddles, like so much puddle where I'm like standing a foot from the toilet.
Yeah.
So you imagine.
Well, now you're making more puddle.
So
I kind of lean. when the streets speaker, you kind of lean forward until it's like, all right, you're done.
So if by chance, if that figure 6 times more for women than men, so imagine a woman's bathroom.
Well, most men's restrooms also have urinals and then the toilet stalls. So you have like different locations. Like you're just pooping over here, you're just peeing over here. Women's restrooms don't. So like everything's used for the same thing. So like, yeah, one person makes a mess in the one and it's just like ruined and it's dead to everyone. And we're like, well, fuck it, I'm going to be on it too. I don't care. Interesting theory.
I remember when I went to a Chargers football game one time, and I had to go number 2 in the freaking bathroom at the stadium. It's fucking puddle. So I was hover pooping, and my fucking shorts fell down and hit
Into
the
the
puddle. That was terrible. I hated that.
We're good.
Was this at the beginning of the game? So you had to sit in pea shorts?
It was in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still mad the San Diego Chargers went to the LA Chargers.
Yeah. I mean, San Diego didn't do much to keep them. Because San
They
Diego,
didn't
like,
give them tax breaks. Is that what you meant by not giving them enough to keep them?
no, like they didn't show up for the games. Like nobody cared when the Chargers were there.
All right. I mean, if that's actually true, because I knew a lot of Chargers fans and they were pretty upset about it. But
Yeah.
but I guess those were like diehard fans.
Also, the family that owns the Chargers, because I grew up in San Diego, they had just a reputation as being an asshole family.
I don't know how Detroit keeps their football team too. Then because they consistently have bad picks. They consistently suck year after year.
Well, because there's not something better to do in Detroit. In San Diego, you can go to Balboa Park, you can go to the beach, you can go to La
guess that's
Jolla, you
That's
got
fair.
great Mexican restaurants.
That's fair.
you can
That's fair. Fair.
Jump
enough.
on a trolley.
Now I know why Cleveland Browns are still the Cleveland Browns too.
There's nothing better to do in Cleveland. Yeah.
I lived there for 3 years. I loved it. I don't know. I'm weird. I like the Midwest. I like the people in the Midwest. They were fun.
Were they cowboy kind of fellas?
No. In general, they were a lot more cleaner than I actually expected. Frankly, because I was expecting the more cowboy type people. But I love the Midwest.
Sorry, Cowboys. I didn't mean to try to.
I was talking about cowboys. We're not talking about literal cowboys. I'm not talking about literal cowboys. I'm just talking about the character as cowboys.
I love all Americans.
Sort of. Yes.
As long as they wash their hands.
Yes. Otherwise, they're monsters and un-American.
Demon spawn.
Do you deal with a lot of transplant-related workups? Like, because we do send people to behavioral health all the time.
Not anymore. Not anymore. When I was in my previous position, when I was working with ESRD, yeah. But we actually had our own specific transplant social worker, and that was like all she did. And that was actually one of our kind of like coveted jobs, like transplant, hospice. Like those are like.
Wait, so does transplant mean somebody just moved here? Is that what we're talking
No,
about?
we're talking about organ transplant.
Organ transplant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we do have like just moved here transplant people too.
Yeah.
That's not a coveted
How'd
job.
you get to organ transplant out of the Midwest?
Well, because actually, after I did residency Midwest, I did a liver transplant fellowship in Seattle.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but they do need like a pretty thorough psychiatric workup.
Yes.
Because it's a valuable resource that this person is going to have. So like, can they deal with it? And are they like,
Wait, like it messes
to
with
have
your
it?
head if you get a free spleen?
No. We have a scarcity of organs.
Yeah.
And a surplus of folks that want them. So we want to make sure that we're giving people organs that can take care of them properly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a very interesting question to ask you guys then. You have a patient who needs a liver transplant. He is 50 years old.
Don't break any HIPAA rules right now, bro.
hypothetically speaking?
This is actually. I mean, like there's some changes to the details, but the idea is still the same. He's 50 years old. He needs a transplant.
We'll call him Bill.
And
Cowboy.
he and he does whatever his work is. He does his work. He unfortunately, for reasons that aren't clear, he goes into acute liver failure, and we don't necessarily know exactly why that happened. But ultimately, his liver is not going to recover, and you need to give him a transplant. Social worker does a lot of digging. That is literally their job, and they find that he is a convicted rapist.
The rapist.
That was convicted by like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Doesn't matter. He has done his time. He is now back to normal. He has a respectable job. He has a respectable family. Would you still transplant that individual?
I mean, as long as all the other boxes are checked.
What do you guys think?
He did his crime and he did his time, right? He served his penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, does our society and our law doesn't say he owes anything else?
No.
As long as he's not out continuously raping.
True.
If all the boxes check. What is there?
We're talking about
he can't
medically
be
he's
obese.
fine. Surgically he's fine. Financially he's got the insurance and everything taken care of, and he needs it imminently. And all of the other boxes have been checked off. The only red flag was that this happened in the past. Would you consider it? Because as we just said, there's a surplus of organs and a scarcity of resources. Would you say that's a good use of resources?
If the boxes check out, I would say because he's done his time. If he's hopefully morally lived his life thereafter. Hopefully,
Well, the idea is like you can do a crime and you can be sorry for it and you can change and be somebody better.
I fully agree with you. That's
Right.
interesting because that was actually a fairly long debate.
Yeah.
To transplant this individual, I was on the side of just like you guys. He checked all the boxes. This happened in the past. He's done his time, and at this point, he's a reasonable candidate.
Yeah.
Now let's take that same individual and say he's not done anything, but he has a history of he's mentally handicapped.
Mentally handicapped.
Mentally
So,
handicapped, meaning he does work, but he needs a lot of assistance from family just to. He lives in sort of a group home sort of situation where he does have like a sort of a job, but it's not really a.
I would say again, as long as all the other boxes are checked and like he's
Well, isn't the idea that if this person gets the organ, then somebody else also deserving doesn't get it?
Yes.
Right. That's
Yes.
a
So how do you
possibility.
stack a mentally handicapped person against a fully capable?
And that's really, and that's the question I'm asking. How do you equitably distribute the organs in that sense?
Yeah.
Is one of the check boxes by chance, would a social worker check to see if that that whoever the person is, that they are capable of maintaining their body? Meaning, if we give it to somebody that is known to
That is absolutely a consideration. Is will they take care of the organ that we're giving them? That is absolutely one of the boxes.
Okay.
that needs to be
And I
checked.
think that would be the qualifying factor for that
Yes.
for that individual is, are they capable of, maintaining a healthy lifestyle and understanding the changes that need to be made? Because it's not like you get the organ and your body's like, oh, cool, we're whole again. Like, you're taking medications for the rest of your life. There's always a possibility that organ's going to get rejected too. So it might not, like, even if you do everything right, it still might not take
No, 100%.
kind of. But
What do you guys think? Would you transplant that individual?
yeah, the boxes check out.
Again, that's a very interesting question because
Emmett's leaning towards no. That's his
I'm thinking of one devil's advocate scenario. So say that on both the rapist and or the mentally
Handicapped.
mentally handicapped. So then what if you have a person that can go create a company and make a bunch of
Let's
products
say-
and softwares and
Okay,
make something big?
let's say that there's someone who is a businessman who is otherwise generally very healthy, but is 75 years old. And we just said life expectancy is on average is 72. Would you give that person an organ?
I probably wouldn't.
Yeah. So looking at it from an accounting sense, yeah, somebody with an older age has less time left on the clock, right? So, it's much more of a shame if a young person dies unnecessarily than if an old person dies, at some point, right? So
They want to live. And they're
sure.
otherwise healthy. They used to run all the time. Their liver disease is nothing of their own making.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, this 75-year-old gentleman ran a marathon, let's say.
Yeah. Well, you've had much more time on this earth than most people. You've had a good run.
So the reason I bring this
Right.
up is because when it comes to transplant, you're not making moral decisions for people.
Right.
That's not our job.
Yeah.
Our job is simply to say, are they an acceptable candidate? And can we move forward? And
But I would disqualify the old person on the same basis as the unhealthy person. Is the life usage and expectancy of that organ.
well, the life expectancy of an organ right now is the metrics that the government uses to track life expectancy is what is their survival in 1 and 5 years. If your survival in 1 year is over 90%, then as a transplant center, you're doing a good job. If your transplant survival after 5 years is 70%, then you as a transplant center are doing a good job. But we have data now because we've done transplant for so many decades of 20-year survival. And a 75-year-old that is otherwise healthy, I'm sure they have some high blood pressure, some other things, but is very healthy, is very fit. I specifically say fit. I'm not talking about your average 75-year-old who can, go to work,
the
come
remote.
home, and
75-year-olds can't work. They can't last 4 hours.
I'm literally going to be working until I die. I'm going to be dying with a colonoscope in my hand.
Well, then you shouldn't buy a
It's going to be
$1.3
extra
million
awkward for
house,
that
yeah.
patient.
Literally going to be extra. My anesthesiologist is going to be like, what just happened? But
Doc's been awfully quiet.
Yeah. I mean, are you going to tell me the 75-year-old is going to live just as long as the 40-year-old?
no, but if they've lived over 5 years, then they've met the appropriate metrics. And if you have a reasonable expectation that they can live for about 20 years with that, for 10 to 20 years with that liver, then they've checked the box of generally having a life expectancy that is long enough.
Worthwhile.
Yeah, it's worthwhile.
Okay.
So, but again, if you are saying I am denying a 40-year-old a liver and going to give it to the 75-year-old individual, a lot of people, that is a difficult pill for a lot of people to swallow. And I agree, it is a difficult pill. But again, the guidance here is that you are not making that decision. The system has made a decision and the system is working. And the system has made a decision that this person is an acceptable candidate. And so you're not taking a liver away from this individual. You're just giving a liver to this individual.
What does the system say about the mentally handicapped person?
Give him a liver or her liver.
Because interesting, our society doesn't look at contribution.
Our society does, but medicine does not.
Yeah.
So in the medical profession,
Yeah.
while we may have these debates, and everyone obviously brings in their own biases to the situation,
Yeah.
like one example of a bias, I had not me, but I think there was a patient that I remember. I don't remember if it was mine, or it was my friends, or whoever else's. She was 36 years old, or 37 years. I don't remember exactly. She had liver disease because of alcohol, alcohol-related liver disease. And this is a fairly common story.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have alcoholic liver diseases that are in their 30s and 40s. And the bias is held by the hospitalist team that in the hospital I was working at was that she's been only sober for a month, and therefore she cannot get a liver.
Yeah.
And that was something that we've been told since the 90s. I mean, like that was in the 1990s, in the early 2000s, that was a thing. But in the last like 10 years, no one says that anymore. Now, like it doesn't matter how long you're sober. It depends on like, why are you sober? Is it simply because you have liver disease that you're sober, or is it because you
Stuck
truly
in the hospital
understand?
instead of going to the bar.
Exactly. Or is it because you truly understand that you have bad liver disease because of your actions?
Yeah.
And that's where, again, where social work comes in to give us that. It's not a perfect answer, of course, but social work will give us their best guess as far as if that is true or not. And if that's the case, then we can transplant those people, and we don't wait that long anymore.
Is there any piece of
For
that
everyone.
any piece of that system that you disagree with at all, or that you feel that it could be done better? Like,
I do.
Go for it.
Well, it's a supply problem. It's a supply problem. No, we don't have enough organs to go around, right?
Just start 3D printing them, and then it won't be an issue.
I think that's actually where we're getting to. At that point, then it doesn't. Then ethical dilemmas cease to exist. Then it doesn't matter if you can afford it, just do it.
Yeah. Are there a lot of organs going undonated? Is there some measure?
I don't know if there's some measure, but yes, there are definitely people that do not donate their organs, and it's a shame. It is a shame because
we don't get anything for it, Vig.
no. Well, we had that discussion. You should give them $1,000. He was saying you should give everybody that gets an organ donor sticker a one-time donation, a one-time amount of money of like $100 or $1,000 or whatever it is.
$1,000 DMV credit. Every 18-year-old would check yes.
That's actually a great idea. Like to
I would
give them
almost pay my
$1,000.
registration next year.
Yeah, everybody would fucking check
Registration
yes,
is more than $1,000. Good God.
She had a lot of cars.
Oh, Wasp! I forgot. What's your favorite car?
The Bentley.
Oh, there we go.
Jag. No, I just said Jag.
But yeah, no, I actually think that's a great idea. Give them $1,000 DMV credit, and maybe you'll get a lot more organ donors. Hey, I would be all for that.
I think everybody would fucking check yes.
I think so too.
You would have.
You
a
don't need
massive
them. You're
increase.
dead.
Yeah.
I agree, but there's some people that say it's my body, it's my organs, and I don't want to give them to anybody else. And I've actually had some people say that. It's like
Like, all right.
I don't know what to tell you at that point.
That's better than me. I'm just protesting this system. My ineffective.
I actually feel like that's a more worthy reason than just like it's my body, my organs. Even if I'm dead, they're still mine. I don't want to give them to anybody else. And it's like what?
Well, that's like people want to keep their money when they're dead, where they give it to their rotten kids, right?
Yeah, I don't.
Awful children.
Yeah. If you can give away your organs, why can't you give away your money? You don't need it anymore.
You
You
can.
can.
Fill out a form for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People don't. They hang on to their money and their organs.
I'm going to take all my toys with me.
Yeah.
Bury me with my car.
That's a huge grave.
with organs, is there, if someone has hepatitis, would the organ carry that to the new host?
Yes, you got to be very careful with those organs, and you got to tell people beforehand because someone has the right to refuse. Like if they think, I mean, if someone has active like hepatitis, that organ's probably not usable. Fatty liver is actually the reason why most organs aren't usable now. As we said, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is so prevalent, and if you have like over 30% of fat, 30% of your liver's got fat in it, that organ, the risk of primary non-function of that organ is very high.
Is there, I'm guessing a small, but by chance, is there a large number of organs from people, whether it be hepatitis, HIV, AIDS, any other viruses? Is there a large number of people that can't donate because they have STDs?
Gonorrhea.
So we usually test. The organ donation is a very, very like strict protocol on how they decide if someone is an organ donor or not. So that there is a lot of testing that is done. And usually if someone is actually like positive for hepatitis C or hepatitis B, we won't be able to take that organ. But if there is a risk for them to be like positive, like unfortunately, there's a lot more donations now from opioid overdoses. And they tend to be younger and usually much healthier. So those organs are fairly valuable.
Good meat.
They have great skin too.
So those organs, we do test for hepatitis B. They are considered higher risk. So because again, opioid use or injectable use, drug use is a risk for hepatitis C and B. So that liver is at an increased risk, and so you have to let them know that this is an increased risk. And while we have not found any hepatitis B or C on this organ, there's a chance that it could still be there and that is gone uncovered. And since we're going to give you a lot of medicines to suppress your immune system from rejecting this organ, it could flare like crazy, and that could really affect your liver. And you have to tell people that before you give it to them.
Is it some statistic that is it 1 out of every 5?
I don't know about those.
People have hepatitis. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking. Fuck, I'm fucking.
A, B, and C.
Probably herpes. It's probably
hepatitis B. The prevalence of hepatitis C is roughly like it was like 5 to 6% in this country. It was going down in the early 2010s, but then it's now rising because of the opioid epidemic. Unfortunately, because we have great treatments, and treatment for hepatitis C is like 95% effective. But yeah, I mean, it's still not like 1 in 10 or 1 in 5. It's like 1 in 20 maybe. And then hepatitis B is a little bit lower. But if you go to other parts of the world, like if you're going to China, the prevalence of hepatitis B is closer to like 8%, 7%. But that's like China, India, like Africa, those areas. Not so much the U.S. U.S., I think prevalence is less than 4%.
USA, number 1.
And that's mainly because of vaccinations, which now everyone hates.
We love vaccines in the U.S. No? Okay.
I do. I wish more people did.
Generally,
about 50%. I think we're at for COVID. 50%.
Oh no, it's like 7. Close. It depends on the state. Like California's like 73%. New York's like 74%. Like Wyoming is like 40%. So it's really dependent on us. But overall, I think it was like 60%.
Sounds like you're talking about politics.
I'm not. I'm just saying that was what's reported.
there might be a correlation with color.
There might be a
Of the state.
correlation.
You could overlap these maps.
Yeah. Why do you guys just personally think there's some type of correlation with vaccines, religion, politics? Why does it seem so?
Education.
It started with that one fucker who messed with that autism study. That fucker, just to get a name, that motherfucker. God, I can't remember his name. Some British doctor who cooked some numbers to say that vaccines are linked to autism, and then someone ran with it, and then
Playboy
it became
Bunny.
a huge thing.
Playboy Bunny ran with it because her kid turned out to be autistic.
And and then it became a huge thing from there to, there's this mercury in vaccines to, this, that. Oh, God,
But also a side effect of the internet is the spreadability of that.
Oh yeah,
That misinformation, that false, that false, whatever you want to call it, could not have spread this way before the internet.
yeah. It'd
we
be
still
hard to
gotta
do
blame
that with
that.
carrier pigeon.
Yes.
Yeah,
Still
Write
gotta blame
long
that doctor,
letters.
though. And that's the sad part is that, you would think that it was some quack. It wasn't a quack. It was a dude that fully knew exactly what he was doing with the way he did it.
He's not a good dude.
No, he's not a good dude. That's like, in my mind, that's like evil.
Wait, so if I needed a lung, I could be like, all right, go ahead, give me the lung with the chlamydia. I'll take it.
It depends. I think that would be okay. Because chlamydia is treatable. It's curable, not just treatable.
Okay.
you can have a chlamydia lung.
I don't think you can get a chlamydia eye though, because that
That'd be a problem.
Yeah, that would be a problem because chlamydia leads to blindness. So
My eyes are already LASIKed. They're already tuned, so you can.
oh no, well, I mean, chlamydia leads to blindness for kids. So if you have active chlamydia or gonorrhea in a woman and they birth a baby while they're doing that,
Oh, it makes
gotta be
blind
very
children?
careful.
Okay.
Yeah, it can cause blindness in children.
Bad juju. Got it.
Yeah.
What, are you some kind of fucking doctor?
All right, we're going to walk into the final question section. Renee's such a veteran here that she doesn't get any more questions.
I know.
I don't have any new questions for you.
Just here to balance it out.
Tier.
I'll think of a question for Renee.
I think this is your second time, Vig, or third?
Second.
Okay. So you get these set of questions. If I told you to put $5,000 in cryptocurrency, what thoughts come to mind?
I just recently saw the owner or maker of Terra Luna, where at one point his holdings were worth like 1.6 billion, and this was when Terra Luna was like $102 per coin, and that same coin is now worth less than a hundredth of a cent. And he went from having like a $1.6 billion to less than a couple thousand, I think. So right now, and it's not just him, it's literally, there's so many others, including currency exchanges. So I would not put money in cryptocurrency at this point.
I would say it's on a sale.
A lot of people do think like that, and that means that you believe that it will again go back to where it was, like the where it was before, and kind of like what we talked about before. I don't really understand cryptocurrency and its rise, and people said that one of the reasons for cryptocurrency was that it's a hedge against inflation. But inflation happened, and then crypto fell, not rose. So the average individuals that are putting the money in crypto, that like they don't diversify their portfolio. They literally think that crypto is the next gold, and then they put everything in crypto. So I think that's what ends up happening, is that a lot of these retail investors that just put all their money in there lost a lot of money, and I just don't think you'll see that meteoric rise anymore. And that's my theory.
We are not financial advisors. This is not financial advice. It's for educational purposes only.
Yeah.
Entertainment purposes.
Oh yeah, entertainment, not educational. Well, depends on what you consider educational. I think the technology of decentralization is going to change the world. So I think the price. I'm biased because I'm on the software side. I think it's going to go up, and there's nothing to stop it except for only time. Actually, time as in, is it going to be in my lifetime? That's the only thing I worry about.
I guess in a long enough timeline, anything, because real estate is another example of like 2008. That I would have said that is the time to buy. Is like once everything crashed is when you should buy, because I fully agree that real estate, at least I fully believe that real estate is one of those things on a long enough timeline is never going to go down. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I don't have as much experience with Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in general, but I think real estate is probably one of the safest bets where you can put your money.
Yeah, when I say cryptocurrency and or blockchain, the technology will be around. My theory would be it's hard guessing which one, whether it be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Luna, who knows which coin it'll be, but I think it's going to be some type of cryptocurrency. So I suggest everybody to invest if they can.
Renee, would you advise people to buy real estate today? If your friend said, "Hey, should I buy a house right now?"
I mean, I've talked with a couple of like my coworkers and stuff about it, and it seems like the people that are waiting around to time the market, it's just like you're trying to time the stock market. If you have the ability to go ahead and do it, you should probably just go ahead and do it. I think we're well insulated enough that we're not going to see another crash like we did in 2008.
Right.
There will be fluctuations. Yeah, it seems like it's kind of like settling right now. At least those are the reports that, I keep getting on my house with the like house bot email that I get every week or so.
The best source of information.
Oh, your house is worth this. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's one of those things like it's always going to be a good investment as long as you can afford it. It's a lot up front, but like if you're just paying rent to somebody, you're just kind of giving that to somebody else to pay their mortgage. Might as well pay your own.
Mm-hmm. I agree with everything you just said. I have not seen anybody ever successfully wait to time their real estate purchase on their primary residence.
No, I think that sounds about right.
Yeah, it's always the sooner the better.
Yeah,
and really, as long as it's not breaking your bank. I mean, if you're reaching for something, then obviously then you're a little
then you're over leveraging yourself,
right? And that's the bottom line. Is even with cryptocurrency, if this is $5,000 that you have to lose, then why not? Then you can just go ahead and do whatever you want with it, and it's no big deal. I would put $5,000 in playing poker, just because that would be a lot more fun for me. But
You have the illusion of control.
yeah, it is the illusion of control. I was just complaining to my friend just this morning. I lost like $500 in 10 minutes playing poker.
And you
I
loved
was really, really frustrated by that, but I did love it at the same time. And it just made me want to go back. It just made me literally want to go back. And I was like, God damn it. All right, not today.
Well, when you're ready to talk about it.
All right, next question. Next question. Caffeine addiction. Next question. What can you not live without, excluding the obvious? Water, food.
What can I not live without? I love my job, and right at this point, I think I would be pretty aimless. Which is why I'm saying I'm going to retire. I'm not going to retire. I'm just going to die. I'm going to die doing the work. May not be able to scope anymore because I'll have like arthritis fingers or whatnot, but I'll still be teaching or something.
Just tell the robot what to do.
Or that. Or I'll have a joystick. I'm surprised I haven't been able to make a joystick related colonoscopy where instead of me using my hand to scope and actually needing strength, and a lot of GI doctors develop like carpal tunnel and develop like wrist pain and stuff like that.
Get in there?
Because you literally sometimes you got to turn all the way this way, that way, move this hand this way, that way. And I was really worried when I hurt my shoulder.
Shit,
was I going to be able to scope? And if it was my left hand instead of my right hand, I wouldn't have been able to, because I wouldn't have been able to do this with my left hand. So I would have had to literally take like a 6 months. So the scope itself is very maneuverable, so that if I just literally move my hand like this, the whole scope will turn.
Okay.
So
A large movement over here makes a small movement in the actual.
it actually makes a large movement on the whole thing. It could actually, if I do this, it could actually turn the whole scope like clockwise or counterclockwise, depending.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I went for a CAT scan probably like 6 years ago when my ankle after the car accident. I'm gonna connect it to you're gonna work till you retire. I walk into the CAT scan room, and then they have to put in like a bunch of liquid for the X-ray, and the guy's like, he looks like he's 85 years old. And as he puts the needle in, his hands like his
Shaking.
It was terrible. It was hurting, and like it
Shit.
It was like the needle's in, and it's like moving my.
Oh shit! All right, so now that's what I would say. All right, I can't do that part of things.
Wow.
But yeah, like one of my attendings was I think he's being forced to retire. The bastards that are trying to force him to retire, but he's like 78, or he actually just hit. I think he's just pushing 80. And he's still one of the smartest doctors in the hospital. So
Sharp.
He was very sharp.
You said forced to retire?
Yeah, he's getting a little bit on the older side, and they're like trying to get new faculty, revamp, I guess, the residency program or something.
Can't take over his position if he's living in there like a vampire.
And literally, the guy has 3 things he would do. He would come to the hospital, read guidelines, which is why he knows everything about everything, and he's an internal medicine guy. And then the weeks that he's off, he goes to visit either his son, who's like a GI doc in Long Island, or his daughter, who's like got her own business. She's like a Harvard MBA in Boston, and he spends his week there with his wife, and then he comes back and does this and just reads guidelines, and he goes back. That's literally his whole life. Which, he loves it. So why the hell not? Why
Do you think he wants to buy a bar?
He's Muslim and he doesn't drink, and he's actually a little bit sexist.
It's a hard no.
It's kind of funny. No.
So no on a strip joint also.
No, probably not.
Okay.
He's a great guy, but
if anybody wants to fund a bar or a strip joint in Las Vegas, I know a guy that can manage it.
The Square Bar was great. Actually, I enjoyed that comedy club.
Yeah, well, that wasn't a strip joint.
I said anything like comedy, bar.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a cool place.
Tough location.
It is a tough location.
Yeah.
We'll give him that.
So your answer to the what can you not live without is your job?
My job and probably the internet.
Oh, poker.
And like a gaming computer.
What if poker disappeared tomorrow?
I wouldn't care that much. I would. It would suck. I would be like, I can't play poker anymore. But I could live without poker.
Okay.
So I don't think I'll need your services anytime soon. But I might come back to you in like 2 years and be like, I'm actually broke now.
I can quit anytime it disappears from Earth.
Next question. This is a long one. I haven't figured out how to word it better. Around what age did you see yourself the most mature? What personality changes were there? What were the factors to cause it?
I had a college counselor that told me, or that told my parents, who took a lot of offense to this. And unfortunately, I think the counselor was right. Is that I mature slower than usual. So I would say, like, maybe when I was my most mature is probably in the last 2 years. And what I mean by mature is that I still act like I'm 15. I mean, most of the time I still feel like I'm 15. But when it comes to making life decisions and understanding other people and being empathetic to other people's situations, which is, I think, what makes me actually a fairly good doctor, is because I can empathize with people, and I can usually put myself in their shoes. That only came with the experience of being in medicine, for me at least. And realizing that you don't that there's not necessarily a timeline of doing things, because it was very frustrating for me, because I'm 36 years old. I'm still in training, and I have friends. I have a friend. He's been making money for the last 5 years as a GI doctor. I have friends who've been hospitalists for the last 10 years, and they're all making they all have like $1 million in the bank, and I'm still sitting here with $150,000 in debt.
Wait, is this because you were immature and you didn't
because college, I didn't take college seriously because I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to go to the military. And med school, when my parents forced me to go to med school, I didn't want to go to med school. I wanted to go to the military. And so I kind of half-assed both college and med school. And because I half-assed both of those, my very first drop was I didn't get into residency right away. It took me 2 years to get into residency. So... and then residency went by great. I actually realized I love medicine, and then when I was doing GI, it took me 2 years to get into GI, which is when I did the hepatology thing, or the liver disease thing in Seattle. And what's funny is what I realized after that is if my parents let me just blow some steam off and do stupid things in other ways, I would have probably been the same age and still be a physician, like still at this age.
Yeah.
But those 4 years that I wasted, I would have enjoyed myself a lot more, and I would have been a lot more secure and stuff like that. And it's only really realizing that later, and that really, I think, only came about in the last 3 to 4 years.
Okay, so you're talking on the income side, you'd be a different picture.
No. I would be the same. I would say I would still be 36 and I would still be in training, but I would be much more comfortable. You're forced to, you're forced to reconcile with where you are in life at all times, right? Like you are here. I am 36. I can't go back in time. So I'm gonna have to reconcile. I am living with the fact that this is where I'm at, not necessarily where I wish I would have been at. But if I had gone through life the way I had wanted to, I would have still probably been 36 and in fellowship. But I would have done a lot. I would have had a lot more cool stories. I would have been like, oh yeah, I was in Iraq doing this, and then I came back here and I had to learn about this and that, or God knows what. Maybe I was like, I want to be an EMT, and my parents were like, no, if you did an EMT and you love the EMTs don't make a lot of money, and you would just be happy doing that. And that's like, that's an Indian parent thing. They're very like, you need to do this.
You need to make more money.
Yeah. Or you need to do what? Well, we care about your happiness, but we only care about your happiness as long as it makes us happy too, sort of thing. And they had to come to adjust to our.
So do you view that whole pressure and expectation in a positive light, or do you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, if I was a parent, I would say, within reason, you can do whatever the hell you want. I'm not going to say I'm going to be a great parent, because I don't know. I mean, I feel like anybody who thinks they're going to be a great parent is in for a really nasty surprise.
Yeah. But I mean, I could point to a lot of people that probably could have used more pressure like yours.
Yes,
Okay,
100%. There are a lot of people that can. I mean, that's what I mean by anybody who thinks they're a great parent, because they know exactly. They've figured out the secret to raising kids is then they just don't realize that not every kid learns the same way. Not every kid is taught the same way. I think a great example is, if you guys have seen Dexter, right?
Yeah, I don't have time
the
for
TV
that.
show. Well. No, you don't have time for Dexter? Well, no. I'm glad. It's an okay show. But in the show, the main character, I'm going to spoil the first episode. The main character
serial killer.
He's a serial killer, right? So his father, the reason he became a serial killer is his adopted father, when he was a child, saw him basically killing birds and killing little critters that are around their house, and realized that this kid is going to become a serial killer later on in life.
Yeah.
And decided to teach him to only kill bad people.
Yeah.
But that I think that's like a fundamental misunderstanding of how kids develop. Is that yes, maybe that kid will become a serial killer, or maybe he'll be traumatized by the sight of blood for the rest of his life after that, or maybe something else. Maybe he'll actually become very well adjusted. You just never know.
The science is in. If you torture and dissect little animals when you're a kid, you become a serial killer.
And that's what I'm saying. That's basically what that show was saying, is that this kid is definitely, there's no other path for him to follow. And I mean, we have a family friend whose firstborn is a drug addict, and I mean, they are like millionaire doctors in living in Orange County in these huge houses. Their second son is an MD PhD.
MD PhD.
Yeah.
Doctor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doctor.
And it's like, well, what makes one? I mean, like, they were both raised in the exact same environment. How did one become a drug addict and the other one is an MD PhD? It's,
Yeah.
That's why there's just no real rules as far as how kids grow up. There's general rules, but not like each kid is very different in what they do.
I have seen parents that like, man, those parents look like they did everything right, and I don't understand that kid at all.
I watched, it was a podcast where I forget the name of the person. They study the psychological upbringing of children and what the parents, their impact, and their conclusion to their book was, parents, sorry, you don't really matter as much as you do to the children.
Absolutely.
It's like if I had a guess from listening to the podcast, if there was a percentage, they're saying, they would say something like 15%. Parents matter about 15% of the kid, but 85% is everything else around the kid.
And I would fully agree with that. Is that what did I get my morals from? My dad and my mom have certain morals, but there's things that I used to love reading. I read a lot of fantasy novels from the age of like 10, and there's a lot of things that they said that I fully agree with, and is what shaped how I wanted to be as a person. So you just never know. And
Renee, where do you get your morals?
Well, I think initially you get them from your family of origin, but then you
you
evolve them over time.
Last podcast, you said you're cold-hearted, though.
I am dead inside. I'm saying in general.
You're one step away
for
from
people that
yourself.
have morals.
I fully agree with you on that. I feel like when you're in healthcare, it's got to. I mean, you've got to be able to move from one patient to another, and not, as I said, not be a bleeding heart for that one.
I can't be emotionally invested in every single one of my patients.
Yeah, it's just you don't have.
There's a small handful that I am, and it hurts that much more. Like when they overdose and die.
Mm-hmm.
So I try not to be.
That's different than being moral, right? Like, would you steal something if you knew you'd get away with it?
Depends.
Yeah, 100%.
Do I need it?
Well, for me, is that organization someone I care a lot about? Like, am I stealing from Disney? I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Anti-Disney.
Am I stealing from the mom and pop store over there?
Yes, that I'd be like, yeah, what the hell?
See, so you guys have morals. You have ethics.
Well,
you have internal.
A code of ethics. The code may not always be agreeable with everyone. Everyone's code is slightly different.
Yeah. No, you mentioned books. I think that's probably one of the greatest things about America is that we export so much entertainment.
Yeah.
We have the best movies on earth, and embedded in those movies are the morals of those characters and heroes. So I think we're painting a picture that other people are seeing on a big screen.
I fully agree. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Big.
I concur, doctor.
I do think that people really underestimate just how much TV can change someone's ideas, especially kids' ideas.
Yeah, I wanted to be a truck driver.
First time I actually wanted to be in the Army was after I watched Black Hawk Down, and I was 13 or 13 or 14 when I watched that movie, and that was when I said, "Hey, I'm going to be in the U.S. Army."
This looks great.
Really, I was like that camaraderie, everything about it. That's what I want.
Yeah. I always wanted to be a pilot because Top Gun came out when I was a kid, and I was like, Navy pilot, fuck yeah. I want to do that. And then I got glasses when I was like 7, and I was like, well, shit, that's not going to happen.
Navy recruitment and military recruitment in general skyrocketed right after that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Next question. What thoughts do you often ponder about or what keeps you up at night?
Your deep thoughts? Besides defending serial killers.
Transplants.
A lot of I guess really what when I go home and I have this weird feeling of like, did I forget something at work? Did I forget to put in a certain order, or did I look at something the wrong way? That has at times made me go like, actually have to open up my laptop and look at my work and be like, okay, no, I didn't. what the hell is wrong with me?
I
And because I still can't shake that feeling, and I have to double, triple, quadruple check. I'm like, what? Everything is normal. What is wrong with me? So it happens once in a while.
I thought when you said, did I put in the right order? I thought you were going to say organ.
I'm not a surgeon. I am not by any means a surgeon, so luckily I don't have to deal with those sort of questions.
If you needed a hand, would you accept a transplant from a serial killer?
If I needed a transplant?
Yeah, if you needed a new hand, and we got this pedophile hand, will you? It looks like your old hand.
It works like that.
No?
You can actually transplant hands. I mean, otherwise, people that lose their feet, I mean, shit, would they accept a dead person's foot that was refrigerated and kept properly? I'm pretty sure they would.
Yeah,
We wouldn't have a lot of prosthetics around if that was the thing.
Exactly. I don't think that's
The
the thing.
pedophile liver.
Yeah, will you take a pedophile liver?
Get this pedophile eyeball for you.
Now that, unfortunately, yes. I mean, I don't think I'll. When it comes to transplant, there's roughly like 7,000 to 8,000 transplants done in this country, liver transplants done in this country per year. There are roughly 12,000 people to 13,000 people waiting on the transplant list for those 7,000 to 8,000 livers, and there are roughly 20,000 people that are trying to get on a transplant list to be a candidate for that thing. So if you think about it, that's like 30,000 people waiting for 7,000 to 8,000 livers. So,
Did you say the majority of this is obesity?
the majority of what?
Of needing a liver?
No. The majority of cirrhosis, the majority of causes of end-stage liver disease or cirrhosis is currently non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, but alcohol is a close second. But if you look at who's transplanted more, alcoholic liver diseases tends to be transplanted more.
Okay, so obesity is not a contributing factor to needing a liver.
No. Well, I mean, obesity is a contributing factor to fatty liver, and then that can maybe cause liver disease, and you need a liver.
Okay. So don't be an alcoholic. Don't be obese.
If you have a family history of liver disease, you should probably not drink too much alcohol.
Less than a gallon a day.
Less than a gallon a day.
Got it.
I'm
learning.
The thought that you worry that you forgot something, would you consider that just paranoia? Is it you just wanting to do a good job?
He's 1,000% doctor.
I don't know. I mean, because it doesn't happen all the time. And the funny thing is that sometimes I will forget to, like, say, schedule a patient for a procedure. It actually happens a lot more often than I would care to admit. But that never bothers me, because I could just call him in the morning and be like, oh, shit, I forgot to schedule this person for a procedure at 1 p.m. Whatever. I call him at like 10 a.m. and be like, hey, sorry, I forgot to schedule this. But I'd already made sure that they weren't going to eat anything, so it wouldn't have been a big deal. But forgetting a lab or a specific other order, I don't know. Sometimes I have that, and definitely is the other thing that keeps me is the mistakes that I've made. Is that definitely keeps you up at night.
On the forgetting thing, I feel like in the last couple of years, I'll go in the shower, I'll put on shampoo, and then like 30 seconds later, like, shit, did I put on shampoo?
Totally the same thing.
Okay, so okay,
No, it's true. I do things like that all the time where I'm like,
that used to never happen. I feel like under 35 years old, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, welcome to midlife.
what about you, Renee? What are things that you
forgets
keep you up at night?
nothing.
Deep thoughts at night.
I would agree with the mistakes thing. Like, yeah, I do a lot of just kind of like kicking myself, but I'm generally not awake at night because I have kick-ass sleep habits.
Also, I can
Smug
sleep very
face.
easily. It could be that I have sleep apnea, but I like to think I'm just very good at sleeping.
But I would say the self-checking is what makes you excellent, right? If you're always double-checking everything, always overthinking, always pursuing that excellence.
It can also inhibit other things too.
Yeah.
I think there's a balance there. Like it's good to be detail oriented in your work, especially with stuff that matters. But yeah, if it's keeping you up at night and it just becomes a compulsion thing, that's super unhealthy.
Yes.
But yeah, it's good to be thorough.
I mentioned on our last podcast where I feel that I do have a slight hot temper at times, but I do want on things when it's regarding work or even this podcast, I want to do a good job. So I'm so harsh on myself. I mean, I know little things on like that blue over there is definitely not like that blue over there. And that
Don't tell everybody.
Yeah, we're all going to be looking at it.
Yeah, so I was like, oh,
So-
shit, no, I'm looking on screen.
so like I want to buy the equipment to match that to, but it doesn't matter, but it's something I know and I want to improve. I want to make this as good as possible. So I think reflecting on your product, on your work, I feel like I get overly emotionally upset at it. Like I'm like, fuck, I could do better. But I think what you're saying, I do think that's a huge aspect on making something better.
What if you get a great deal on blue lamps from a pedophile?
How many hands does he have?
Let's see here.
Well, they're the worst kind of rapist, right?
Yeah. Well,
But does he have both his hands?
that is true.
I would pass. That's an easy one to pass. The hand thing, because you need a hand. Like if you can't do your job anymore,
I do have insurance for that. So if I lose my hand, there is insurance that will pay me out. And
Nice.
Get the hook hand.
Like Tina Turner's legs.
oh god,
because my next train of thought, oddly, is in your case, if it's a hand from a pedophile, those hands were touching children.
Baby junk, yeah.
For me, it's lights. If I'm buying lights from a pedophile, that means he's raping children with those lights on. I think
The same blue light lit up somebody's nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if the association is there and it bothers you a lot, then
This is dark
fine.
territory.
Yeah.
But
it
a
is.
hand is
Or would you
up.
steal them?
so that now that
that-
you take it away from the pedophile, now
like
would it
a-
matter? now would you be happier?
It's a really fucked up podcast.
Yeah, this is getting a little weird.
Yeah, who brought up the pedophile?
Please like and subscribe if you like this bullshit.
Death, poop, and pedophiles.
I think I may change that question for not.
We're going to change the pedophile question.
You have a question on pedophilia? No. Shit, I need to get my lawyer here and make sure I don't answer anything inappropriately.
Hit that flag button.
All right, this went downhill. I'm going to switch to the next question. What inspires you?
What inspires me, huh? Very deep questions.
Pocket aces.
That is inspirational. Until you lose with pocket aces, and it's like
I've lost many times with pocket
Soul
aces.
crushing.
It's too.
It is actually soul crushing. My friend literally just lost $300. She went all in with pocket aces pre-flop, and some dude matched $300, even though he only had like $350 with 7-5 offsuit and hit a straight on the river. And it's like, well, why? How did you even call that? Whatever. And he's so proud of himself, and I just want to punch him in the face. It's like, dude, this is purely luck. You should know that by now. But anyway, what inspires me? Well, when you do a good job in medicine, you actually, the benefits are actually fairly tangible, like sort of immediately tangible. Like you can
Not
get a patient.
dead.
Yeah, not just not dead.
Oh.
You'll get a patient that comes to you. Usually, hopefully, you're not treating patients that are imminently dying and you bring them back, but it's more someone is feeling like shit and you tell them the right things to do and they do exactly what you say and then they get better. That's actually very gratifying.
Wait, we should follow our doctor's advice.
What?
So that's actually quite awesome, and that's another reason why I love my job is because the gratification is it may not be like immediate, but it's fairly quick, and as long as you are following appropriate evidence-based medicine, your patients will generally do well. I think of the hundreds or so of patients that I have personally had, but not co-managed with anybody else, I have had a total of 5 patients in the last 5 years die because of complications of their diseases. Otherwise,
You said they died because of bad instructions.
no. Luckily, actually, there was. Unfortunately, I will say that there was one patient who I missed something, and that patient unfortunately did pass away. It wasn't just on me. Medicine is no longer one doctor, one person. It is a team effort, and everybody missed this. But you kick yourself over making a stupid mistake. So that mistake is not what led him to die, but it always rattles in your head. Was it this mistake?
Could
that
have
made
caught
this
that.
happen? Could I have caught that and made things better? Yeah.
Gotcha.
Next question. What's the best vacation you've been on?
The best vacation I have ever been on.
He's been in medical school for like 80 years.
Really, it's actually true. I don't necessarily. I haven't really traveled too much. As much as I would love to. I wish I could go to like tomorrow. I would love to just go. You know, there's direct flights from here to Amsterdam. I did not know that.
Tomorrow, let's go.
And and they're not like super expensive. I think it's actually more expensive for me to go to fucking DC right now than for me to get a round trip ticket to Amsterdam, which is a little pathetic. My brother just spent $1,100 because my cousin is having a reception and we were going to go.
But you're not going to go to Amsterdam?
Well, I can't. I don't have vacation right now, so.
Okay.
But yeah.
And he's negative 150,000 in debt.
Yeah, that's got to be the first thing. And then after that, we can start talking about
Big time.
where I can go on vacation. But I'm actually, it doesn't take much for me to be happy. Like, honestly, I could stay home week on end, be totally fine. That's why I usually need to go like out with other people, because otherwise I love to talk to people, but I can also sit at home and just play video games and be happy.
Lately, I've been finding myself like that. I was at my younger age, like 17 years old. I needed to talk. I needed interaction. Nowadays, the COVID thing really kind of pushed into, holy shit, I could chill at home, and as long as I have the internet, that's kind of the number one thing.
Right.
I need to have the internet, but I'm kind of mentally fine. I have no issues with just chilling.
I can play video games. I can watch TV. By the way, I just watched the show called The Lincoln Lawyer, which is actually a great show. I definitely recommend it to y'all. So yeah, I mean, but when I have friends or other people that are like, hey, we're going here, or we're going to take a trip here, or we're going to go to this comedy club, or we're going to go hiking here, that actually ends up being a lot of fun too.
Cool. All right. Final question for both of you guys. Do you have any, what guests would you like to shout out to be on this podcast? If you haven't, if you thought of someone else, because you guys got asked, suggest 2 guests before. Is there anybody that you thought of now that you want to shout out?
I'm gonna let you lead.
Oh, I don't know. I've recommended most of the interesting people in my life.
Yeah, you suggest. Well, you suggested,
people suck.
Suggested Anthony, and then I think another.
Jack.
Oh yeah, and Jack too. Yeah.
The kid I work with that never picks up the phone because he doesn't have his shit together. So yeah, I don't know.
Oh, you're good.
Fine.
I know. Right? To you.
So my cousin, he's in the Air Force, or he was in the Air Force. He's now in the reserve, I think. He's a lawyer at the Pentagon. And he's seen a lot of cool stuff. He was actually, I have an aunt who unfortunately passed away in a plane hijacking back in '86. She was like one of 6 people that died. She was on a plane back from India. So she had come, unfortunately, to visit me because I was 1 year old. And on her plane back to the U.S., it was hijacked and was forced to land and was not allowed to take off in Pakistan. And she was one of the few that died. And he got to sit through the trial when they found one of the guys that was involved in that hijacking.
And that inspired him to be a lawyer?
Really? I mean, that whole thing inspired him to be a lawyer, inspired him to go to the military. And it was like the culmination of all of the things he did to be able to actually sit in that trial. And my mom actually testified in that trial.
And now he fights terrorists?
Well, he's a lawyer at the Pentagon. I don't know exactly what he does.
Okay.
All I know he is a lawyer for the Pentagon.
All right.
And then I guess the other guest, second guest,
if you could think of it, no.
Are you jealous of his military participation?
You have no idea. You have no idea. It's funny. He's been on 2 tours in Afghanistan, but he's a JAG. He's a lawyer. He was a lawyer in the Air Force, so he doesn't necessarily have to see combat or do anything. He's basically he does the contracts and whatever else. He volunteered to go on patrol because he and I are fairly similar in that respect. And everybody else in my family is like yelling at him for doing all these things, and I was the only one who was like, motherfucker.
Have you met the dude that comes to my meetups named David? He's an ex-Marine.
Oh yeah. The pharmacist.
That's right. Yeah, he's gung ho. We should probably get him on the podcast. But
he's great. He would be interesting too.
But he's not like I want to die, but he has zero fear of death. He's like, you want to jump on a motorcycle and do some stunts right now, or like, do you need mercenaries or something? Sign me up. Like, it's this weird. It's very abnormal in that he seems like a rational, successful dude that is hanging out having a beer with you, and then as you get into some discussion, he's missing that barrier to self-safety that everybody else has.
And he might have some very interesting stories to tell, which actually broke through that barrier. So I would fully agree. David it would be a good,
Interesting dude, yeah.
good guest.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time.
To another
It was a
great
blast.
podcast.
Thank you.
Cheers.
That's it. We're rolling.
Give me a minute. Joe's actually joining, I think. So you guys go ahead and banter for a little bit.
Joe from Portland,
Near Portland.
Yes.
near Portland-ish.
Yeah.
Who's Joe?
Dude on the internet.
Joe, he looks like he's from Portland, but like Portland with a job.
Nice.
Yeah. He's,
Okay, not the drug part of Portland.
yeah. Portland with a job.
Yeah. he does drink, and then he'll rip a bong while he's on the podcast.
Nice.
And on a lot of the podcasts, he'll just get stoned through the course of our talking,
Nice.
and you'll see him fading in and out.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm usually getting like less intoxicated as I'm here.
It's just wearing
Yeah,
off.
it's a good balance, I think. Yeah.
The last time I did this, unfortunately, I just realized I can talk for a really long time, and I need to stop. I need to like learn to let other people talk. That's like,
to converse instead of
instead of take over.
Just adjusting your
The
punctuation, really.
The last time you did this?
No.
No, on the when there's a single guest, the single guest is the star. We're trying to get as much information from that person as much as possible. But this is a conversation. And that's the way I see it.
Yeah, there's 300 hours of me and Liem talking, and we've run out of things to say.
I'm getting close. I'm running out. I'm like, have we talked about my dog again? No.
I'll bring up stories, and I'm not sure if I've told them on this podcast or not, because I only have so many poignant experiences in my life.
So you're saying you've already peaked?
I'm just saying that not every experience I do is worth telling.
I think very few of mine.
Yeah. Like, I don't think I've done anything worthwhile, noteworthy, or remarkable today.
Me neither.
That would bear, that's story worthy.
No, me neither.
You didn't cut anybody's guts open?
I mean, I did go inside some people's guts, but I don't know if it's. I mean, like it's become it's a daily thing now, so I don't know if it's really noteworthy.
Was there an endoscopic thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the way to go. Little cameras and robots. Shit's great. I got some really cute scars.
What was I doing today?
You've had the endoscopic?
Laparoscopic?
Lab?
No, I'm in GI, so just
different.
just do the colonoscopies and endoscopies. So I can't.
Your holes are already there.
Exactly.
That's convenient.
Exactly.
You
Makes my
chose
life-
wisely.
It makes my life a lot easier.
The door's kind of already open. Or at least it's there. There's already a door.
I was talking with this guy when I was back when I was doing I was an egg donor for a while, and it was like this, I don't know, psychologist that I was working with, and he was like, "But how did they get them out?" And I was like, "There's already a hole there, Bob. Like, what do you mean? How'd they get them out? They just go get them." Like,
I mean, but do you have to get into the fallopian tube, or how does it?
no, like you
aspirate.
release them.
Okay, yeah.
Like they give you medication, you release them, so they're like already there, and they just kind of like go up and fish them out, and like,
Well, how do
Really?
they?
or as
how do
they said, they scoop them
it's,
out.
it's in the uterus, then, right?
Yeah.
So how do you
actually thought
find
they
it?
go straight into the fallopian tube and just aspirate some of the eggs or something. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, it's this
infuse
whole
operation.
process where they have them like they gave me all these meds and like almost died and shit, but it was like worth
Whoa.
it. But they give you these meds that make the eggs. There's like a little fluid sac around the eggs, and it kind of fortifies those. And then they give you this other medication, and it makes you like release them all at once when the
All your
the
eggs?
surrogate's ready. Yeah.
Oh,
So like
wow.
when the surrogate's ready for like depositing or whatever, like they, I'm sure it's more beautiful or whatever than that, but like, yeah, when the surrogate's ready, they just, it's all like turkey basters and and then they just like,
it's actually very grimy.
yeah, they have me just like release them all and then they go and like scoop them out and then like toss them into her and, with some soup and stuff and babies.
So do you know some of your genes out there?
They are out there. I have had at least, so I donated 3 times. All 3 resulted in successful, like,
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you're very fertile, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's completely wasted on me.
Well, now it's not.
It's not. It's not.
it's
There's
not.
some really sweet gay couple in Texas that has a couple kids now. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Is it 2 men or 2 women?
2 men.
Okay. Do they line dance? Wait, do you stay in touch with them?
Don't know. No, it's all anonymous.
Got it.
Yeah. But like the first time I did it was with one of the guys, stuff. So they have a biological kid for him. Mm-hmm. And then they ran out of my first round of eggs, I guess. So they wanted to do another one. So I donated for them again, and they did it with the other guy's stuff. So they each have a biological child that they're also like biologically
Why do you
connected.
say stuff instead of sperms?
I don't know, because I'm a child.
I like it.
I don't know. Maybe they used his boogers, and that's why it didn't work. I don't know.
These boogers nice.
I'm not involved in that part of the process. It's like,
Same consistency.
Oh my goodness.
sorry.
Mucus is mucus, whether it's from your vagina, from your dick, from your nose, it's mucus.
Yeah, they use that goo that comes out of your butt. It's like whatever.
If someone else would say that, I wouldn't give any thought. Like I would just think they're full of bullshit. But is there any type of
No, they're not. They're actually quite different.
Is the base liquid similar, and then it's an additive afterwards?
No,
or is it,
they are actually quite different.
I'm like, really? So you can get pregnant from kissing, is what you're saying? You were right all along.
It's possible.
Oh my goodness.
It would take some
I do gotta be a little
acrobatics.
bit careful what I say to people. Then
You showed up in uniform, man.
I just got off work. I was like, oh shit, I barely have time to go home and change. So
Hey, the Lucky's bar over here also has a discount for medical professionals.
nice.
FYI. If you need more cheap bar food in your life, 10% off.
Yeah, the Parkway in on Flamingo gets 25% off for all teaching and healthcare professionals.
25%. Okay. Yeah, keep going there. I think Lucky's is 10%.
Parkway's pretty good.
Their nachos are pretty good.
But do you recommend them professionally?
I eat everything. You know what's interesting is, and I was telling them last time, is that after doing GI, it's a lot of the times are like, there's no really, people are like, oh, that dropped on the table, you shouldn't eat that. And I'm like, it's fine.
Is it because the acid in your stomach will overcome any
The vast majority, unless like this literally was crawling with
E. coli?
I don't know, E. coli or C. diff or something crazy, and like we're talking like millions, or not millions, maybe like 10,000 units of E. coli, then fine, you can still probably get sick. But other than that, you're probably going to be fine for the most part. There are some toxins that probably you don't need too much of that toxin to actually have a diarrheal illness, but it won't last for that long. You might just feel like shit for 24 hours, 36 hours.
Like food poisoning.
Yeah, which is it's called gastroenteritis, which is just mild inflammation of your stomach, and it can come out of one end, both ends, or usually if it comes out of if it comes like a lot of nausea, vomiting, it usually happens in 12 hours. If it's like the other end, it starts like 24 hours. It's actually the greatest excuse to get out of anything. Just be like, oh, I just ate some bad, went to a restaurant, started feeling ill about the following morning, and it's untraceable.
I have nausea vomiting.
And it's untraceable. No one can
horrible,
tell. No one can
though.
say anything.
Such a horrible experience.
It is a horrible experience, but using it as an excuse, I've 100% used that as a reason to get out of my life.
You're like, I know what I'm talking about, and this is what's going on.
And no one can question me, which is the beauty of it.
Right?
No one can say anything. I'm like, yes.
Send me a picture of your vomit.
Yeah, exactly.
So actually, our nurses, like, if our patients are trying to like get out of something, and they're like, oh, I got the shits, they're like, okay, let me go see your poop.
That is the thing.
So they will check, but they live there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask you more about your work, but I think I should save it for our live.
Have we wasted all this good banter?
Cheers.
Joel, I know you had
you can hear me?
You had issues, but if you could hear me, bye.
Bye, Joe. Bye, Joe.
You were there for 3 hours? Damn, dude. You are committed.
he messaged. He enjoyed the podcast.
Oh, wow.